You can hear me better now because I just turned it on.
No, you gotta turn it on.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm silencing my phone. We're not yet on the record.
Now it's on?
I'm going to move this
You hit this?
microphone back to Cincinnati so I don't overwhelm you. Please silence your phones.
Yes, sir.
I know we're going to hear the Marine Corps theme sometime during the meeting, Councilman Bajano. Good evening, everyone. We are on the record. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. According to my watch and my phone, it is 6:31 p.m. President roll call, Councilperson Ridley. Prinzeri.
Here.
Bajano.
Here.
Yun.
Here.
Solomon. Here. Robinson.
Here.
Rivera. Waterman.
Here.
President.
Here.
We have a full house. Would everyone kindly rise to observe a moment of silence? Second meeting in a row, we've lost a Miller. This one being Steve Miller, who, if he were here, if you were alive, you'd be sitting in the audience tonight watching this meeting. So, special intentions for Steve, a 45-year employee of the city of Jersey City, laid to rest last week. Thank you, everyone. The flag is in its rightful place. I pledge allegiance
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the council, in accordance with the New Jersey laws of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, better known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses for the calendar year 2019. Our digital version went out on Thursday the 19th. Physical copies to the council were disseminated on Friday the 20th at 4 p.m. to the mayor, council, business administrator, and the local newspapers. Council members, I want to put something on the record for the public. In our annual notice, we had a failure to recognize that Yom Kippur, while it started on Tuesday the 8th, extends to Wednesday the 9th of October, and then there's a family celebration thereafter, so we are moving the next regular meeting to Thursday, October 10th. It'll be advertised. It's on today's agenda as saying tentatively scheduled. The council will be moving the meeting to Thursday, October 10th. We have just one resolution we have to add to the agenda.
Robert,
Yes, sir.
before you continue, you just reminded me, just, doesn't work?
We're hearing you.
So I just, because we had two members, two at-larges missing from the caucus, I just wanted to reiterate something that was mentioned there. If any council members, we're looking to potentially move the caucuses to morning meetings. If you express to me whether it's doable for you or not, if it's not doable, if not everyone's not doable for everyone, then we won't make any adjustments and make any changes to this year's calendar. But if it is not doable for you, I would ask that you let me know as soon as possible so that we can make those adjustments and make the changes so we can have daytime caucus meetings, which I think will work well for all of the staff as well here in Jersey City, all of our employees. And then additionally, we talked about changing the council meeting right before Thanksgiving, which is, I believe the dates were November 25th is the caucus and November 26th is the council meeting.
Yes.
which makes it back-to-back from like caucus straight to council, and talked about the idea of moving the council meeting back to December 3rd or 4th. And while that's Thanksgiving weekend and everything, and a long weekend, at least give a Monday or Tuesday to, and then the next council meeting isn't until December 18th, so it would be normal. So if you have objections or concerns about that, please make it be known as soon as possible. Let Marlene know, and then she can work with Robert to make sure we,
We can discuss that at the next caucus and take a head count and make the appropriate changes by the second meeting in October, and we'll be fine.
okay, great.
All right, can I have a motion to add Resolution 1021? It is a resolution authorizing the indemnification and addition of Newport Associates Development Company as an additional insured for the use of various private roadways in Newport in connection with the Jersey City Art and Studio Tour.
What is that all
By Councilperson Rivera,
Second.
by Prince Airy. On the motion, Councilperson Ridley. Prince Airy.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Johnson. Rivera. Waterman. Guevara.
Aye.
Okay, that bit of business done.
I think we have some other adjustments to the, potential adjustments to the agenda. Councilman Bojano, did you want to remove an agenda item, or you?
Yeah, 3.2.
Oh, 3.2 is a first reading ordinance.
Right. I'd like to have it removed until we sit down with engineering, sit down with the people in the community. We had a meeting last night with over 100 and some people, and a lot of things have to be worked out before this goes through.
Well, while we're on this, so we can make it a compound motion, are you making a motion to delete this from the agenda tonight, Council President? Councilman Bajano?
Yes, and bring it back, we'll bring it back in October.
There's also talk of the fate of two other ordinances.
Robert, I understand from a procedural standpoint, it might be a little easier, but I think let's just let's do them one at a time. Because I think they're each on their own.
Not a problem.
I second the motion.
Won't that cascade over and require that we do something on the bus stop regulation that's on there?
Yes.
So can we,
Which item is that?
I'm going to locate that right away because I think that 10.14 should be, at least be part of that. So if you're going to delete the ordinance, deleting the resolution is in order.
So there's an additional resolution, Councilman Bojano.
That has to do with bus stops at Bergen Avenue and Mercer Street, Vroom Street, and Highland Avenue. All related to 3.2, which you're,
Well, now let's pull the ball until we get this settled and get it straightened out.
that's what I'm pointing out.
The engineering.
When Andrew Vicio spoke the other night, he spoke about the both of them in tandem. So I wouldn't want to get to the consent agenda when it's a little later and we're running through it.
So I think Councilman Bojano is asking to have them both, to amend the,
So it is going to be a compound resolution to delete item 3.2, which is City Ordinance 19-133.
But, I mean, let me make it clear, because,
Wait, we have a motion by Councilman Bajano.
before we do that, because this bill 3.2 and 1014 actually submitted by traffic engineer Andrew. He did that. If he want to withdraw, that his choice.
the council controls the agenda, and we can delete or remove things.
So if council is in control, then when we take a voting as introduction or not, we should be decide at the introduction.
And delete and remove items from the agenda. It's a perfectly appropriate and legal move within our authority as a city
Do I
council.
have a second to that motion?
Second,
We have a second by the council president. Now, this is to delete 3.2 and 10.14.
No.
1014 is the bus stop resolution.
Yeah,
that-
we're just pulling these, it's a matter of 2 weeks. At the meeting last night, there were lots of senior citizens there and people worried about their children. There's a lot more to be worked out.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I'll take the roll. Councilperson Ridley to delete.
Sorry, Councilwoman, can I just very briefly, I have obviously a ton of respect for my colleagues, Councilman Boggiano, Council President Lavarro. Just for my purposes, I'll say that, I don't want to see them removed because I think the bike lanes are an important advance for the city. I respect the concerns, but I just wanted to make that statement now. I know we'll go vote, but.
So I just want to respond. So that's, the bike lanes are there, right? So they're painted, the traffic conditions, everything is there already. They were done without these ordinances or resolutions approving any sort of changes, and the changes were made. And so the idea that we should put the changes, these additional changes in place, smacks of hypocrisy at some level, because the idea that these were done with, look, if the other four other members of the council were at the meeting, over 150 people were at this meeting in attendance, and some people did express desire to remove bike lanes, but the vast majority of folks did not want to remove bike lanes. That was the consensus there. But there were concerns from the community, from stakeholders, from Hudson Community Enterprises, which works with people with disabilities and employs hundreds of people with disabilities who work in that area. There was Hudson Catholic High School, a high school servicing Jersey City youth and regionally from around the area. There was St. Aidan's Church, numerous seniors and churchgoers who came there talking about things like the funerals and being able to have access for weddings and other things like that. And Father Rocco gave an eloquent appeal to everyone in the room about that. There was the Coptic Church along the route who also expressed concerns. Many of them have spoken to the traffic engineers and other folks, and some of them have gotten maybe one or two things addressed. It is unclear whether other issues have been resolved, and there were literally a stack of papers of comments about issues and concerns relating from parking to bus stops to pedestrian safety, that everyone's just asking for the respect and dignity of those people who were not informed or notified about these changes coming into their neighborhood and community, that we accord them the same respect that we did for Grand Street and downtown in providing the same input into the design of their neighborhood and whatnot. There's absolutely nothing here that is contradictory to the idea or commitment to Vision Zero or to bike lanes and to making sure that there is a connected bike network throughout Jersey City. What this is all about, ultimately, and I would suggest to everybody, is a vote about inclusion and making sure that the people of Jersey City who are impacted by changes in the community, that their voices are heard. And so I urge you all to just consider that vote. This is just a small modicum of a representation of some sort of saying to them and letting them know that you're allowing them to have their dignity and respect, to have the opportunity to have their input heard and be heard in a meaningful way, and not simply as lip service to that gesture. So I urge you all to vote for removing this ordinance and having an opportunity for everyone to be able to ultimately look at what changes are being proposed and making sure that the community stakeholders that are involved here have an opportunity to do that.
Let me just very quick response, and then I don't want to belabor this for all of us. So a lot of points very well taken. The only two things I would say is, one is I just want to reiterate that commitment to Vision Zero, and so I think as a council we should all, we may have disagreements on procedure, but that is just crucial that we all keep at the forefront. The second is agreed that there weren't the same degree of meetings. The engineering team did come and present to us in August as a council, so we did have us an opportunity to review and potentially provide feedback. So with that said, I mean, I understand we can go vote, but I just want to make those
Yeah, they came
comments.
to the council, but they didn't explain how much damage they were going to do to the area.
Okay.
We're not saying stop the bike lanes. We're saying let's modify some of it. Let's work it out where we appease the people in the neighborhood. Our concern is the elderly people in there going to church and everything, and also the children, number 11 school. And if it's an accident waiting, last night, a bike came down, a woman was getting off a bus, and because they park out in the street, they have to pull in the street, and she got hit by the bike. I mean, we have to work it out. There has to be a better idea. And I knew nothing about this whole, what they were doing with these major lanes. And
So let me add to.
Wait,
No,
Could we
because
vote?
we're
yeah.
going around.
No,
Perhaps
Just vote, we voted down,
people are voting, they can make their comments.
right.
If we could just go from the top, everyone can make their comments when we vote.
But if we do that,
Thank you, Council.
I mean, Ron Robert has a chance to speak, James Solomon had to say, and the Councilman Richie Bojang has to
Councilman
say.
Yun, continue.
Why not? Why
ahead,
not?
Mike.
Why
Councilman
not?
Yun.
Really?
Go.
I scratch my head again.
Councilman Yun.
Okay.
Can I take it from the top, Council
No,
President?
Councilman Yun.
Yeah,
Make
thank
your
you very
statement.
much.
Want to speak?
The Councilman Richie Bojang, what he say, address the issue is correct. 110% I support it. He say right. The way the traffic engineer department printed the bike line and the Bergen Avenue, actually when I look at it, they have a lack of community input. They did wrong, but they did. And I respect what the council president said. He's right. Before anything they put in, there should be some kind of community input. The way they put in, give opportunity input in downtown. But actually, they didn't do that, those areas. And those things they done while Councilman Richie Bojang on the vacation time. And so it's wrong. But if you look at reality, it's already bike line they paint the bike line already. So this one, actually introduction. We not make any decision tonight to make legalize what they say, what they did. Just this one introduction. 2 weeks later, if our traffic engineer department and without comprehensive mitigation plan, at the second reading, it's not too late, we can kill that bill. If we not pass the introduction, we're gonna open public safety issue, actually public safety in danger. Because if we see ordinance, certain things cannot make a right turn, left turn based on current bike line they plan at the paint in there. I mean, while we gamble with a public safety issue, delayed another 2 weeks. I couldn't understand. If you care about really public safety, introduction now, push the traffic engineer department, come out comprehensive mitigation plan, correct the problem. If they're not able to correct the problem, then 2 weeks later, we kill this bill and the city council may pass the ordinance to remove the whole bike line, Bergen Avenue. This council have a choice, but please, I'm asking my colleagues, don't delay it to small urgent mitigation plan to stop that, putting the open public safety issue in danger and jeopardize. Please, because if they're not paint the bike line yet, then we talk about it. Maybe we have to pull it out. But they already did.
did it illegally, as far as I'm concerned.
You know, so I really feel sorry to Councilman Rich Bojang, and that they have no respect to community and the councilperson. I hope it does not happen again. But unfortunately, it's done. So our concern is that, number one, public safety is first. And in the 2 weeks, if they have not done what we're looking for in community, then 2 weeks later, we vote down. We got time. All right, so please, I ask my colleagues, if you're concerned with the public safety, please give us introduce first reading. Thank you, okay.
Call for the vote.
Yes,
Thank you. To delete 3.2 and 10.14 from tonight's agenda, Councilperson Ridley.
So, I understand the arguments on both sides, but I do believe that the residents have some good concerns in wanting to make sure that this is done correctly, especially after last night's meeting. So I think that we do need to look at especially some of the turning lanes. I know that the bike lanes are needed, but some of these turning lanes I've personally had issues with while driving, so I am going to say yes.
You're voting to delete. Councilperson Prinzary.
All valid arguments, both sides, but there are some concerns with public safety in the area now. And my concern also is that some of the issues with some of the churches have been addressed in this. We're going to continue to work very closely with individuals that are directly impacted with this. Some of the businesses have reached out again to me, and we can put that into a second read ordinance. I just, from a public safety standpoint, I just think it's important for us to move forward, so I'll vote no.
You're voting no to delete. Councilperson Bajano.
Of course, yes.
Yun.
The way I explained to that, public safety is first, is done already, so we have to become a mitigation plan in 2 weeks, so correct the problem. So I'm gonna vote no.
Councilperson Solomon.
Again, think that there's a lot to work through. I would like to see us advance this right now and then work through those changes in the upcoming month, and the council also retains the authority to obviously reverse if we so choose a month from now, 2 months from now. So I'm going to vote no to delete.
Councilperson Robinson.
Well, I was one of the council members that was there last night at the meeting. I was listening to all of the concerns that were going on. I want to leave this to the councilman, although it affects all the wards around the city and all of the residents. You know, Ward F is close, but this is in Ward C. And if the councilman in Ward C feels that we should wait a week because the turns are already there, they're already put in place, and I don't believe anyone's going to take the lanes up right now because we hold this off for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, Corporation Council, I think we should be able to waive the 20-day waiting period, which wouldn't slow this down, at all. I'm going to vote yes to delete and let the council persons up there take their time and make sure we get this done right.
Councilperson Rivera. No to delete. Councilperson Waterman.
I was there at the meeting last night, and the majority of people is not against the bike lanes. The concern was that the community didn't know. Now, I've been on this council for a while, and when it's in each one of these wards, the council person always get angry because the community don't know, and they always ask us to maybe pull it, and we have done that. So Rich is just asking us to pull it because the people didn't know. It's not like they're against it. The people have a right to know what is actually going on in their community. So with that, I vote yes.
We have a 4-4 vote. Your deciding vote, Council President.
I vote yes.
So deleted 5-4 is City Ordinance 19-133 and Resolution 10-14. Ordinance 19-133, item 3.2. So that's a 5-4 vote. A close one. Before I go on and read the titles into the record, are we going to have any discussion about 3.6 and 3.7?
I believe so. Should we ask the representative to speak?
Oh, is that the,
Before we vote on 3.6, 3.7?
okay. If we could have Mr. McCann approach the podium, and before we cast our votes on, or decide on what direction on 3.6 and 3.7.
Sure. Good evening, Council. My name is Jim McCann. I'm here on behalf of the applicants in both ordinances, agenda items 3.6 and 3.7. I made a presentation on behalf of the applicants the other night at the caucus, and I do understand that some folks on the council have some concerns about some of the terms in the ordinance and the financial agreement. My client would very much like to continue to discuss these tax abatement applications with the council and hopefully improve some of the terms that make it a little bit more receptive to the council's concerns that we heard at the caucus the other night. So we do not have an objection if these two ordinances are deleted from the agenda tonight so that they can then be reintroduced with some better terms that everybody might be more inclined to agree with. We would hope that we can make the changes to the ordinance rather quickly this week and hopefully get it on the agenda in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay. Come close to the mic, Rich. We got him fixed. Turn it on.
You want to make changes. You talking about changing the 30-year tax abatement?
I'm talking about changes to the terms of the tax abatement that would obviously benefit the city in this case.
Well, benefit the city, but
Why can't we hear you?
I don't know, it's on. It's on.
Oh, no. We have the two. We have to push the two button to make the one.
You know, the main concern is the homeowners of this city here and the taxpayers of this city here. And 30 years, you know, you already have 10 years more to go. But I've spoken to a lot of people since our meeting Monday night, and God, you know, most of them are homeowners who had their taxes raised with the reval, and they've had it, you know. So I just want to let you know, I hope you're not coming back with 30 years tax abatement. I mean, that's being honest.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Let's.
And just, Mr. Ricken, to clarify your comment, are you saying that if the council, the applicant is not opposed to the council deleting this, that you would seek to work with members of the council on a potential, I guess, a different proposal, and that while you're having those conversations, your applicant basically isn't going to take any action of any kind? Is that sort of a fair summary of what you said?
Absolutely, Councilman. There'll be no changes to the project while we're negotiating.
Okay.
That means affordable housing?
Yes, Councilman.
Okay, thank you.
I need a motion and a second.
So I will make a motion to delete 3.6 and 3.7.
Second.
Seconded by Councilperson Ridley. We had the motion by Councilman Solomon. To delete 3.6 and 7, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to delete items 3.6 and 7 from the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Council. Thank you for your time, as always.
Council members, I'm going to read the first readings from the top, except for the 3 that were deleted. And it shouldn't take me very long at all. 3.1, City Ordinance 19-132, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-9, stop intersections designating Sterling Avenue and McAdoo Avenue, Terhune Avenue and Fowler Avenue as multi-way stop intersections. 3.2 is deleted. 3.3 is City Ordinance 19-134, an ordinance authorizing an 8th amendment to the city's lease with Journal Square Plaza Urban Renewal Associates for 1 Journal Square Plaza Block 586.5 Plot B to amend the term. 3.4, City Ordinance 19-135, an ordinance of the City of Jersey City supplementing Section 287-4, authorizing a lien against property for the cost of removing solid waste. 3.5 is City Ordinance 19-136, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, and creating Section 332-24.1, Limited Duration Parking. And the final 2, 3.6 and 7, both dealing with Newport Housing Associates 100 and 200 were deleted. So council members, we are actually voting just on 3.1, 3.3 through 3.5. Deleted have been Deleted are 3.2, 3.6, 3.7. So we're only voting on 3.1 and 3.3 through 3.5. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye for introduction.
Renzeri.
Aye for introduction.
Fagiano.
I just want to say one thing. You know, I look at this, we're leasing the space up in Journal Square, and we sold 80 Street for a few $1 million, and that was several years ago. We must have spent $10 million on rent. We really saved the city a lot of money. It's a shame. I vote yes. Danny, 450.
Councilperson Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Aye.
3.1 and 3.3 through 3.5, introduced unanimously, 9-0. Deleted are items 3.2, 3.6, and 3.7. Council members, do we still have Matt Hogan in the room? Council members, we asked Mr. Hogan to come. Do you think that we could, in the interest of getting him out of here, I think it was a question about the insurance on the VIA communication? We just bring him up and ask him perhaps a question that might liberate him?
Sure. Okay.
St. Joe's, Matt. So, Matt, we have a resolution on the agenda.
Since I had specifically requested, is that all right, Council?
Would you, I'd be happy for you to explain it, Council.
So, Matt, the VIA contract, which is up for vote, I had some just overall questions about, what type of potential risk this exposes the city to. And so, without even getting into the specifics, I'm just wondering, can you tell me, have you reviewed the contract and, what risk does it expose us to, and what's your overall assessment of that for the council?
I did review the RFP specifically for the insurance requirements, not the scope. So as far as, like a risk assessment, no, I can't give you any detail on that. We're pretty satisfied with the insurance coverage that VIA has. I think your question was, would we be covered for a catastrophic event? As well as we could be, I think, at this point. They've been very agreeable to our terms.
Correct me if I'm wrong, a clause was added on the contract that we got, and I'm trying to find my version of it. Are you familiar with that clause?
I think if you're referring to, they have an umbrella policy above their general liability policy. It provides an additional $6 million layer of coverage.
Yes, that was it.
Yes.
And what does that do? Can you just explain briefly?
It's another layer. If the GL coverage is exceeded, the umbrella policy covers that next $6 million. So in essence, you have $7 million of coverage.
Got it. And how does it work in terms of kind of the city? And correct me if I'm making a mistake here, but my understanding is, VIA is purchasing a set of coverage. These are independent contractors, drivers who work with VIA. But were something to happen, right? And we can think through the scenarios, but, I think Uber and Lyft are good examples where you've had, allegations against driver behavior, you've always had accidents. What does that mean for the liability of the city? So if someone were to sue and say, yeah, I'm suing VIA, but I'm also suing you, Jersey City. What does this contract kind of say, and how do we think about that?
The contract makes VIA, the vendor, the primary. Anyone, I guess, in circumstances could try to bring the city in,
right.
But the vehicles, the employees, the contract is all VIA. So they're primary insurance. You can't stop somebody from trying to bring you into a suit, but VIA's insurance is primary.
And from your just professional expertise, I mean, do you believe that that's enough? Do you believe the city is, protected by that language? Obviously, you can't predict the future, but you have to make assessments.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So, in other words, they're gonna put you in the insurance policy as a city of Jersey as additional insured,
That is in there, yes.
right?
Yes.
So they have enough coverage already to cover any accident that caused by the company.
I mean, there's always a catastrophic
Yeah.
event, but the coverage is $7 million. It's higher than the normal boilerplate we would ask for a lesser program or contract.
He's a coach.
All right,
I yell a lot. Not a lot.
okay.
Okay, we good?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, Matt Hogan. All right, council members, we're to second reading ordinances. Item 4A, or 4.1, excuse me, I'm back in the alphabet soup days, is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed of easement with Parks at VL South LLC affecting Block 6005, Lot 2, also known as the Gateway Plaza Park, and Block 6902, Lot 16, also known as the Van Leer South Park. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard? We have a motion by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prince Airy. To close the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prince Airy.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Hudson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prince Airy.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye, and thank you to both Councilman Boggiano, Ray Reddington in the Law Department, and the developer here. We were able to strengthen the terms of this agreement in a way that benefits the public. So with that, I vote aye.
Councilman Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. And Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4.1. 4.2. 4.2 is City Ordinance 19-117, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 8, Permit Parking, amending Section 332-66, on-street resident-only permit parking of the Jersey City Code, extending Zone 8 to include Dwight Street between Kennedy Boulevard and Bergen Avenue. I know there's a young lady that's here to speak tonight after you, Mr. Berg. Go ahead, please.
You got up before me. Okay, dear. Thanks so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today.
You can bring that microphone down and identify yourself, please.
Oh, I'm Alexis Fair.
Alexis Fair.
Yes.
Thank you.
I've lived on this part of Dwight Street my entire life, and my mother has lived on Dwight Street for 41 years. We live in the same two-family house. My mother worked at New Jersey City University for 43 years and is recently retired. I work full-time at a university in Manhattan, and I'm also a graduate student. I often stay late in Manhattan to do work, research, study, or attend class. While I'm in New York doing my schoolwork, while I'm taking the subway and PATH train, sometimes all I can think about is, will I have a parking space when I get home? Was my mother able to save me a parking space during the day so I can have one when I get home late? These thoughts become anxious thoughts. Is it right that I should have anxious thoughts about parking? No. We have one garage that fits one car. I often feel guilty asking my mother, who has retired and has had 3 major surgeries in the last 3 years, including hip surgery, to take her car out of the garage, move it onto the street during the day, and then get out of bed in the afternoon or at night to move her car so I can have a place to park on my own street. When I come home, I see other families on our street doing the same thing. One car moves so another can replace it. Families should be able to have full lives and not worry about finding a place to park or being ticketed on the street where they live. I can't even park in the driveway on the sidewalk. It was only recently that I was ticketed for parking in my own driveway. My offense was blocking the sidewalk. I paid the ticket, and we then paid to have a permit to park in front of our driveway on the street. But often people parking on the street park too close together, and I'm unable to park in front of our driveway. We can't win. This is a quality of life issue. Please extend zoning on our street. Even now at this moment, my car is parked in a garage at Journal Square, and I won't be picking it up because I know there will be no spaces to park on my own street when my mother and I get home. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's 100% correct.
We have another speaker.
Yeah, we have affected folks have indicated they wanted to speak. Please.
President Navarro, the council body, I'd like to thank you very much for allowing our neighborhood to come this evening to express to you our situation. I have to say that I don't think I could say it any more eloquently than the young lady that preceded me.
But you can tell us who you are.
I'm Candace Fair.
Candace Fair.
Yes. And I would like to implore you this evening to pass this ordinance, if at all possible, because it is a quality of life issue. And we would appreciate it so very much. And I'm probably the senior on the block, 40 years. And I've seen all types of situations. You know, with the regentrification coming aboard, things are getting much more congested. So we would appreciate it. We implore you to pass this evening. I won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fair. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Jason. Jason, come on.
Jason Berg. It's good that we have this ordinance coming up, but every time I think about it, I think it's a form of segregation where residents get the opportunity to park in their area. But even when you have these stickers, it's still difficult. And the more we build in Jersey City, the more it's going to get harder. And I think this is an opportunity that we don't need to be like New York City. We have to be our best. And I think this will be passed, it's good. But just think what it would do. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you all. Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Bajano. Was that you, Councilperson Prinzeri?
That was Councilwoman Ridley.
Close the public hearing. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzeri.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman.
Aye.
Lavaro.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing for final adoption. Councilperson Ridley.
I just want to say that as the councilwoman for the area, my office received the request, and the residents made sure that they had their petitions ready, and the majority of the residents on that street, actually, I don't think there was any objection, signed and said that this is necessary. This is an area that is near NJCU, and the neighboring streets already have zone parking, which is now added to the stress that's on this street, which isn't a large street at all. So I am happy that hopefully this will bring you some relief. In addition, one of the things that I'm trying to work on in that area is having that conversation with NJCU to see if it's feasible for them to reduce their parking fees, because a lot of their students do not use the lot because they don't want to have to pay for that parking every day. So we are still looking at alternative measures, but for now, I vote aye.
Prinzary,
Aye.
Bajano,
Aye.
Yun,
Aye.
Solomon,
As an adjunct professor at NJCU, I may or may not have looked for parking on the street, but I'm just going to vote aye because the residents come first.
Robinson,
Aye.
Rivera,
Aye.
Waterman,
Aye.
Lavara.
Ms. Fair, I hope you can have some peace of mind and have a parking spot. I vote aye. Congratulations.
We have a 9-0 vote for the approval of item 4.2, City Ordinance 19-117. On to item 4.3. It's an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic of the Jersey City Code, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, amending Section 332-9, Stop Intersections, designating Reservoir Avenue and Nesbitt Street as a stop intersection, stopping Nesbitt Street. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard? We have a motion by Councilman Rivera, seconded by? Okay. On the motion, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Prinzary,
Aye.
Bajano,
Aye.
Yun,
Aye.
Solomon,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Rivera,
Aye.
Waterman, Lavara.
Aye.
We've closed the public hearing 9-0. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Prinzary,
Aye.
Bajano,
Aye.
Yun,
Councilman Richie Borgia did a good job. So, I voted for aye.
Solomon,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Rivera, Waterman, President.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4.3. 4.4, another traffic ordinance. This is City Ordinance 19-119, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, and amending Section 332-22, Parking Prohibited at All Times, repealing no parking anytime on the east side of West Street, and amending Section 332-31, Parking Prohibited for Street Cleaning Purposes, designating parking restrictions for street cleaning purposes on the east side of West Street. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. I heard a motion by Councilman Rivera,
Second.
by Councilperson Prinzary. To close the public hearing, Councilperson,
Oh, darn.
do you know where West Street is?
What?
Do you know where West Street is?
I'm not against it. I just think it's great that you're changing the code to be street cleaning. It's smart.
Thank you for that contribution.
There's more people parking. Parking anytime is very difficult.
Thanks.
Especially when you're working.
We have Rivera and Prinzary made it. I had that written down before Jason elucidated on us. Councilperson Ridley to close.
Aye.
Prinzary,
Aye.
Bajano,
Aye.
Yun,
Aye.
Solomon, Robinson, Rivera,
Aye.
Waterman, Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing. For the final adoption, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary,
Aye.
Bajano,
I want to thank engineering for doing this. The neighbors have waited for this for a long time.
Yun,
Aye.
Solomon,
Aye.
Robinson, Rivera, Waterman. President.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4.4, City Ordinance 19-119. On to item 4.5, another traffic ordinance. It's ordinance 19-120, an ordinance supplementing chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulation, Section 332-8, Parking Prohibited, prohibited right turns on red signal, prohibiting the right turn at the red signal at Summit Avenue and Manhattan Avenue all times. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Jason Berg, present. Was there a traffic study for the reason for putting this ordinance into place?
Before any ordinance is put forth, there are traffic studies, analyses of accidents, and this is an area I know very well, and it needs it.
It's corner of the Bowers, the Manhattan Avenue, Summit Avenue, just Pershing Field.
Corner of Pershing Field.
There's so many kids in and out, they have no protection. So,
Other end of town.
yeah, we want to make sure that senior and the, kids who use the park to protect from any traffic that make a right turn at the red light. This is great things. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you.
State does
Motion.
The state does not permit this without their approval.
Motion.
Motion
Please.
by Councilperson
Thank
Rivera.
you.
Second.
By Prince Airy.
Over your mind.
You don't need your extra. You're coming up just out of habit anyway. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prince Harry.
Aye.
Bajano.
Once again, thanks to engineering.
This is just to
They've listened.
close. This is to close.
Yes.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Oh,
Robinson. Rivera. Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prince Airy.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye, thank you to Traffic Engineering Department.
Solomon. Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the adoption of City Ordinance 19-120. On to our next item, item 4.6, another traffic ordinance. This is an ordinance, City Ordinance 19-121, an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulation, Section 332-9, Stop Intersections, the Jersey City Code, designating Maple Street and Van Horn Street, Maple Street and Halliday Street and Lafayette Street as all-way stop intersections. Please, Laverne.
I just want to thank whoever came up with this idea, because we have 22 schools around surrounding them sections. We got churches, and all my life I lived in that area, especially for Holiday and Lafayette. It's a nonstop, and you have kids. Crossing Guard has a problem with the coming up Holiday going to Municipal, because you don't have to stop there at Lafayette. So whoever came up with this one, thank you. I appreciate it. Good. Thank you, Councilman. Very good. We needed it for a long time. Thank you very much.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzeri, to close the public hearing. Councilperson Ridley. Prinzeri.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the close of the public hearing. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzeri.
Aye.
Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman. President.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4.6, City Ordinance 19-121. 4.7, yet another traffic ordinance. This is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal, prohibiting the right turn at the red signal at this
Councilman Robinson.
on westbound Communipaw Avenue at Garfield Avenue and northbound Garfield at Communipaw Avenue all times. It's a public hearing.
Councilman, thank you, but what we do need there is an arrow to turn on the right on both ends, get the traffic put. Right there at Communipaw and Garfield, we need the right turn arrow, that's with the school and the traffic, there's heavy traffic there in the morning. I can't get out of my house. I live right there on Randolph, you know where I live in Communipaw. And the traffic comes to Randolph, and then we get to go down to Garfield, it's hard making that right-hand turn by the car wash to go down Garfield towards you, and the same way going out towards Grand Street. So what we need a traffic light with the arrow. If you can-
Okay, we're working on we're working on some more adjustments there, and we're gonna put a right turn only lane right where you're suggesting it.
Yes.
We'll work on the traffic signal. I'm not sure of that process, but I know that we're working on a right-hand only lane. So one lane goes straight, the other one is built
Right.
just for,
'Cause
because we know
every-
how they compete when they get back on the other side of Communipaw Avenue.
Right, because it's hard coming out of Randolph to make it right to go down, because you can't make a left anyway.
Right.
So that traffic, and then coming down Communipaw, that heavy traffic in the morning, with the schools and the people going downtown here, is very congested. So if you can talk with traffic, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary.
Ridley.
Oh, Ridley. Seconded by Councilperson Ridley to close. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Bajano.
He said.
Yeah, he said aye.
Aye.
That was, I didn't hear it. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote. Close the public hearing. Excuse me, for the final adoption of City Ordinance 19-122, item 4.7. 4.8, yet another traffic ordinance. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 8, permit parking, amending Section 332-58, parking restrictions in residential zones of the Jersey City Traffic Code, extending Zone 10, residential permit parking to include Dwight Street, Fulton Avenue and Stegman Street, Garfield Avenue to Bergen Avenue. This is a public hearing on the subject ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Yes.
Hi,
Hi,
Joan
how
Terrell
are you?
Page.
I am good. Good evening, council. I'm confused. What is a Zone 10 residential permit parking? What does that mean?
It's just like every other zone. It's just zone 10, like there's zone 4, 5, it's just zone 6.
It's different areas of the city.
Covers a different
Different
area
areas
of
of
the
the
city.
city, that's all.
That's your zone. That's
I
the
don't-
name of your parking zone, 10.
That's the number. They have 2 is Journal Square,
Right.
3 is downtown.
Are there any restrictions as far as individuals who live on that street, parking on that street on Fulton
Well,
Avenue?
Dwight Street, Fulton Avenue and Stegman Street from
Fulton
Garfield to
Avenue.
Bergen Avenue are going to be
Residential.
included in that.
Right,
And this
yeah.
is done largely at their request. You may have heard the testimony of others before about 4.2, that
This is on the eastern end of that.
extending Zone 8 to Dwight Street on the other end, so.
So this is on the eastern end, and the residents there do a petition to expand the zone to have residential permit parking.
I'm asking because I have off-the-street parking, but individual times we're required to park on the street because there's work being done in our parking lot. So if I don't have a residential permit, am I going to be able to park on Fulton Avenue?
So once this is enacted, on these streets that are affected, you will need a residential permit. If you don't have a residential permit, I think, what is it, you can park there for 2 hours between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., is that the exact times there? And then if you can park there for 2 hours without a residential permit parking, but if you don't have that permit, if you're there more than 2 hours, you'll receive a ticket for a zone permit violation.
Unless, of course, Council President, if there's some work being done on their parking lot. She's talking in the hypothetical. In the hypothetical, if you were having work done in your parking lot and it coordinated with parking enforcement, there's very little likelihood that they would come after you. Unless
Okay.
you made a habit of not using your parking lot and parking on the street intermittently, then you would be exposed.
So we should check with parking enforcement if there's work being done
In the unlikely event your parking lot gets closed
Okay,
and you have to use the street.
just wanted to clear that up.
All right, Joan.
And you
See
mean, Joan, you mean for a driveway, right? Because if you're a resident on the block, it doesn't matter if you have a driveway, you can still get a parking permit.
I'm not a resident on Fulton Avenue. Our parking lot
Just the
exits
parking lot
onto
is.
Fulton
Okay.
Avenue. So it's convenient for me if the parking lot is closed to park on Fulton Avenue. So that's what I wanted to know, and I will bring that back to management so that they can coordinate with parking enforcement
There you go.
if that happen. Okay.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Second.
I'm giving the second to Rich Baggiano. My left ear controlled that time. Motion by Councilperson Rivera to close. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Baggiano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. Alvaro.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing for the final adoption of City Ordinance 19-123, item 4.8 on tonight's agenda. Councilperson Ridley.
This is a mixed ordinance between Wards A and Wards F. I know that for Ward A, near Garfield, there is a big issue with residents having people that are using the light rail parking. And in that area of Garfield Avenue, we do have residential parking on the surrounding blocks. So I'm going to vote yes.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Baggiano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
I just want to thank the residents of the area because they've been fighting for this zone parking for a little over a year and a half now. And thank you to traffic and engineering for getting it done. Thank you. I vote aye.
Waterman.
I vote aye.
President.
Aye. Did Danny vote?
We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption.
I vote aye.
I missed you, Danny? Yeah. Sorry, sir. I got you now. We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption of 4.8, City Ordinance 19-123. We have yet another traffic ordinance.
And Robert, I apologize, I have to stop here. A question for Ms. Garcia. So thank you, Norma, for helping us with the new language on this one. I'm not sure, did we get it into 4.9? And if not, do we just need to amend so that the new language is available for everybody?
Is that the language that was discussed with Laura?
Yeah, you emailed it, yep.
I sent the language to Laura, but we weren't able to upload it because we didn't draft it.
Okay.
I don't know if the change was made. You can make it on the record.
Yeah.
You have the language,
Yeah.
and it's not a
Is
substantial.
it in the agreement or the ordinance?
It's in the, so 4.9, correct, Robert?
Yeah, 4.9.
It's a change to
Ordinance or the agreement?
the ordinance. I don't think there is an agreement with this one.
Okay.
So if, Robert, if you'll excuse me, and I'll be slow so it's easy, I'm going to make a motion to adjust the language, and I apologize,
We have to
counsel.
first close the public hearing,
Okay, I apologize, you're right, okay.
because this is not going to be a substantial change, Norma? Okay, good. Let's have the public hearing. Mrs. Bolser?
Yes, I would like to know, Yvonne Bolster, I would like to know what are the parking restrictions in a municipal lot? Because, you know, normally people were able to park anytime, but if there's restrictions, what's the problem?
So let me just briefly answer the question, Yvonne. This ordinance lists the section of the municipal code that covers the restrictions on municipal lots. And if you look through it, it says, some lots include metered parking, some do not, some include certain types of permits, and it lists basically each lot. And so you can look through the ordinance to figure out what the rules are for each lot. What this ordinance does is it does basically two changes. The first is it changes the lot at 174 Newark Avenue, and it basically, a prior ordinance made the meters until midnight. This ordinance basically says that we were not going to issue any more permit parking for that lot. And the goal is to make that lot available to people coming into the area to shop at those businesses. And the current rules we didn't think were clear, and people were parking to go to a restaurant at 7 p.m. and then getting ticketed. So the goal is to make this a meter lot for the Newark Avenue Business District. The other thing the ordinance does is it actually just clarifies some of the rules for lots that are no longer in existence. So when we sent this to traffic and engineering and parking enforcement, they just wanted to clarify and say, hey, this lot doesn't exist anymore, we sold it, so let's just take it out of the ordinance. So those are the two things this ordinance does.
Okay, I understand about having vacant land or lots that were sold, but, you know, when you're in different parts of the city and you go shopping someplace else, this is how people get tickets. They presume that it is the same for all parts of the city, and that's how people get tickets. So, you know, somewhere along the line, people get really angry about certain things. And one of the things they get angry about is parking and unfair tickets. So, you know, when you change the language on parking lots, somewhere along the line, you're going to have a very, very angry person because what he paid or she paid in one lot is going to be totally changed over. And they're not going to pay, it's just a real problem getting around Jersey City to the point that my husband and I tend to shop outside the town because we are totally overwhelmed by different rules. And it's just easier. Just go there and park. Thank you.
Ivan, I'm going to add to this 174 Newark Avenue, that municipal parking lot. We already transferred their land parking lot to JCRA. So they're going to develop something. We don't know what it is. So already, people of Jersey lost the municipal parking space already. Because it's going to be come down again. This change only temporary impact shoppers on the resident going to be used. But sooner or later, that lot going to come up something else.
I know people who use that particular parking lot to attend St. Mary's Church because they were handicapped, and when St. Peter's closed, they want to go to a place that they can drive to. So, doing that, means it's a little things, but you're impacting someone's life. So the people I know, 3 of them, who went to St. Mary's Church because they could park in that lot to go to church there, and probably other churches too in the area, they can't now because the city made a change that impacted their life. Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
It came from you, Councilman Solomon, did it not?
Yeah, so we want
Solomon and Prinzeri, right?
Yep.
To close. Didn't hear it coming from here. Okay, Councilman.
So, Robert, and you stop me if you need me to say it any little differently. I want to make a motion to amend the language in section 2A.
All right, let me get to 2A. We're talking about 124, right? Yeah, the language where it says all day, all night, parking 24 hours.
Right, correct. All that remains the same, and then section A, the first sentence, the first two sentences, well, actually, so the first sentence remains the same.
Okay.
And then let me give you the new language for the rest of it. Stop me if you need me to say anything. So, permits given out prior to this
How
ordinance.
about we use issued? Permits issued. Let me get some graphics here.
Permits issued prior to this ordinance will be able to continue parking.
Permits issued prior to this ordinance are grandfathered. How about that?
Yeah.
Is that good language?
I mean, so yeah, the law department drafted this, so I can,
It's in there.
if I can just,
Grandfather could be a term of art. We don't want it to be a substantial change. The
Correct.
Okay,
little
so-
language that was changed
Right.
pursuant to
Councilman
Councilman Yoon's request was simply to clarify. So
Yeah.
there's a few word changes, and they were done purposely not to change anything substantial in the ordinance.
Okay, so give me the languages. No,
permits issued prior to this ordinance will be able to continue parking. That's sentence number one.
that you're making more than one amendment?
It's multiple sentences. Let me just read them out.
All right, so permits issued prior to this ordinance
Will be able to continue parking.
will be able to continue parking.
Those permit holders may continue to renew their permits.
One second, I'm going to ask you to go back to that. Would you start that over again, Councilman?
Those permit holders may continue to renew their permits.
Those permit holders may continue. Can you please not, I'm trying to do my work. This isn't interactive. Those permit holders may
Continue to renew their permits,
continue to renew their permits.
comma, however,
Continue to renew, wait. Comma, however,
no new permits may be issued.
no new permits will be issued.
When an existing permit is not renewed,
Be issued when an existing, let me get that. Permit is not renewed.
comma. And then at this point, Robert, it continues the language that's in there.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I'm going to have to legal advice from the Corporation Council. Every permit has a term. So sounds like in this case, this permit have no term. Terms. Every permit, 2 months, 3 months, or 1 year, every permit should have a term. Even food license, they have a permit at the terms you have to be. But if you do that, if you previous permit holder, you able to continue have a permit, then we privatize our public parking for only certain people.
That's not a legal opinion, that's a policy issue. The only change that was made by legal was at your request, just for clarification. The policy behind this, whether you choose to do this or not, I guess would be asked of Councilman Solomon. We merely clarified, because you said it was
Yeah.
not clear that those who had permits could renew. I believe that the policy here is, or the intent of the ordinance is to say, people who have permits will continue to have permits as long as they continue to renew, almost like a grandfathering idea. Once it is no longer renewed, if you no longer renew it, then that will become a metered space until eventually the whole lot will become a metered space. And I'm sure I'll be corrected, but that's my understanding, and we
Can
would
I
want to
can I just
clarify that.
hold on, Michael, Councilman? Can we just finish the amendment and then discuss, just because we want to make sure that the clerk has it correctly, and then I can answer your
I
question?
want to read what I have so far.
Okay.
Permits issued prior to this ordinance will be able to continue parking. Those permit holders may continue to renew their permits, however, no new permits will be issued when an existing permit is not renewed.
And then, comma, and then the rest of the language matches what's in the ordinance.
Then it picks up with no new permits will be issued.
Then it picks up with the space where the permit holder used to park. Right, I can show this all to you, Robert.
Please, Gene, you're not adding, you're distractive.
So
2.A, we're in 2.A.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the language begin? Where does your,
So the first sentence is still there. No new permits will be issued for Lot 9.
okay, so we're going to insert the amendment between Lot 9 period and permits giving out prior to this ordinance. Is that correct?
So you're starting after Lot 9, and then you're ending after comma the space. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, I'll work with the law department to get this paginated tomorrow.
let me-
Well, actually, with traffic.
So,
Work
hold
with
on.
traffic.
Let me, just procedurally, Robert, do you want us to introduce the motion and then we can discuss?
Well, I would need a motion to move the amendment, yes.
So let me make a motion
Hold
to,
on 1 second. Oh, right, I never took a vote to close the public hearing before we got on to, I took the vote, I took the motion and the second, and we never closed.
Okay.
Councilperson Ridley to close.
Aye.
Prinzary. Aye. Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Stepped up.
Waterman.
Aye.
President.
Stepped up.
Okay, so the public hearing is closed 7-0. With councilpersons Rivera and Lavaro absent for the recordation of the close of the public hearing.
So I can answer Councilman Yoon's question now, or do you want a motion to add, Robert?
No, I'm gonna have some questions.
Make the motion and then
Okay.
after the motion is made, we can have any discussion before we move to final adoption.
So I will make a motion to amend.
Second.
By Prinzary.
Correct.
And let me just briefly explain what's happening.
Okay.
So currently, the current rules of the lot had allowed for people to apply for and collect permits. But if you get a permit to park in the lot overnight, you're taking up a space and you're not making it available for someone who's coming for dinner.
Right.
And so the goal is to free up the spaces. However, there are 9 people that currently have those permits, and they've had them for a very, very long time.
Yes, that's the
And
problem.
so I made a choice and recommendation of the council that we would basically write into here the law, and we would say those people can continue to renew their permits every month for as long as they would like, unless obviously a future council changes its mind. But that if they say, I'm not going to renew, We're not going to issue a new permit, and then we're going to turn that into a metered spot. And the clarification that I thought you had asked for on Monday was that you had said, well, if a permit renews once a month, this language wasn't clear that it would allow people to renew more, not just one month, but many months. And so that's what this is trying to do, is to say you can renew not just for 1 month, but for many months.
See, so now, excuse me, when we do that, the way you say, that 9 permit holder, actually, we privatize, actually, the municipal parking space. First things we have to make the definition of the permit parking. It's a permit parking means that you can park the car in their location, not we give them designated spot for them. You know what I'm saying? So now, if we use like this word, actually those 9 people able to the parking the car, their lot forever.
Please.
Then there are so many demand, people looking for space. Other than city council only protect the 9 people. We not give to any other people to opportunity to get the permit. So that's why every permit parking have a term, 1 month. A commercial area, 2 months. 2 months later, we open to general. People waiting, anybody who first come, first serve.
But Councilman, that's not, for every other lot, if you apply for your permit, and let's say it's a 1-month term, you're given priority for the next month, right? We don't do a lottery every month.
No,
We say you're 10 permits or 15 permits for this lot. Once the 15 permits are issued, those 15 people get them every month or every 2 months, and then there's a wait list. And it's no different than what we're talking about here. We're simply saying that we're not going to issue any more, right?
So the first things I'm going to say that you do right things.
Right.
But what happened, I'm permit holder. So my permit expire end of the September. In the meantime, there were 100 people waiting list. So this guy, instead of the renewal end of the month for the October, he didn't do that. He come in middle of the October, but meantime, people waiting for. You not renew the permit end of the month, then your permit is expired. So whoever come in, apply for the permit, that's the one should be get the chance to. So in other words, if we're not doing that, if we just grandfathering current permit holders able to stay forever, then actually, literally, we privatize 9 parking space for only 9 designated people. The rest of the people, no opportunity to get it.
But the community gets them. So the moment someone doesn't renew, then it becomes a metered space. So the issue, right, is that we had these, with the permits, they had these 9 permits. The lot was empty because people didn't know to apply. If we had announced to the community, these spaces exist, please apply for the permit, we would have had hundreds of applications, but what would have happened is the parking would have been removed for the businesses. So we could have also just eliminated all the permits, but we wanted to respect the people who have had those for a long time and who have built their lives around those existing permits. So again, it was a balance to make those spaces available to the businesses, to clarify the rules, and to ensure that the existing people weren't negatively harmed. Now, the long-term goal is to get all these spaces to metered spaces,
Right.
so that they're available to the businesses. If you disagree with grandfathering, that's fine. You can vote against the 9 permits, but then we're going to have those spaces sit empty.
No, the direction you set up is correct. Actually, Central Avenue, we want to try to do that. But only my concern, current of permit holder, if you not renew the next month's permit till before expire, then their permit is expired. There's space open to people waiting for the waiting list. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, we just protect only 9 people. Meantime, we take away other people on the waiting list, never get chance to get permit.
There are no people on the waiting list. People didn't know about this lot.
So
There's literally nobody on the waiting list.
I'm telling you, if I put you on the Facebook, the 174 Newark Avenue Municipal parking lot available.
Yeah, I know, we would get hundreds of people, and then the businesses wouldn't have parking, right? This is a policy choice to create parking for businesses, right, on Newark Avenue. Sometimes they're not happy with me about other laws, but this is one that we're trying to respect them. We're trying to respect the whole city that wants to use Newark Avenue and that comes down and wants to park there. And we're trying to make the laws clear. We've also made a secondary choice to grandfather the 9 permit holders in. The moment one of them doesn't renew, it's not like they own the space, they can't give it to somebody else. The moment they don't renew is the moment that space becomes a metered space available for the public.
So you know what? That's why I bring up the paper today. Central Avenue, we have a 3 municipal parking lot. Even the current permit holder, when they renewed for next month's permit, they have to fill up the form. Actually, I bring up the form. Okay, here you go. This is the form you have to fill every month because your permit term months or maximum 2 months. If you not renewed your permit on time, your permit expire, so whatever waiting list the people able to get in. I mean, if it's a private lot, I don't care, I don't mind. But municipal parking lot, we have to give to them whichever we go. People who are interested and want to go, we gotta give to a fair opportunity because parking is the #1 issue. So I'm not criticizing Councilman James Solomon. He do right things. We're gonna do that. But if we Central Avenue parking lot, if you not renew the permit on time, your permit is expired. So people wait on the list, they got opportunity. That's the way it's supposed to be. But other than that, especially downtown, parking is one of the top priority. They're not going to give up. I mean, is that right? I mean, anybody here wish to have used at the very low cost of the municipal parking lot to want to park, but because there were 9 people, even though they come up, renew the permit after expired permit, if we continue grandfathering, I don't think it's not fair to people.
But it doesn't, if you don't renew the permit, it expires, right? You don't get it. It says very clearly, right, how when an existing permit is not renewed. So if you fail to fill out the paperwork and you don't renew, then you lose the permit.
Okay, so.
You know what, he want a cutoff date, like, if you don't renew by the 28th, that's what I think.
Yeah,
that's what he
you
said.
have to be,
If
you
don't
have to
renew by
draw the
28th,
line.
you
I mean,
lost.
it says if you don't renew, right? So, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point. I think we know where we are, and I like to think we can vote on it. But.
I just want to read it into the record because I thank you, Norma, for all of the language. It's going to read, permits issued prior to this ordinance will be able to continue parking. Those permit holders may continue to renew their permits. However, no new permits will be issued when an existing permit is not renewed. When an existing permit is not renewed, the space where the permit holder used to park will become a metered space open to the public, and no permit will be issued to replace it. That is the sum and substance of the amendment moved by Councilman Solomon, seconded by
Okay.
Councilperson
So if you not renew
On the
end of their
motion.
term, good.
On the motion, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Term.
This is just to amend. Prinzary. Aye. Bajiano. Aye. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
The amendment is approved 9-0. Law Department has indicated it's not a substantial change, and we could move forward with the final adoption if that's the council's wishes.
Yes.
Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Baggiano. Yun.
Actually, what the Councilman James Solomon said is a right direction. It's a good idea, and essentially, one of the lot is 478 Congress and Central Avenue. We're going to adopt the same similar policy in their lot too. So I'm going to vote for aye.
And
Person Solomon.
I apologize for all the time. I do actually want to thank Councilman Yoon because he pointed out that the language wasn't clear, and this clarifies that point that when you don't renew, you lose the permit at that point. So with that, I vote aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Aye. Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Aye.
4.9 has been adopted as amended, 9-0. That's City Ordinance 19-124. Moving on to something that isn't a traffic ordinance, hooray. It's item 4.10. It's City Ordinance 19-125. And it's an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 9, Department of Public Works, and Article 3, Mayor, to transfer the supervision of the Mary McLeod Bethune Life Center to the Office of Cultural Affairs. It's a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Joan Terrell.
Yes, Joan.
I'm speaking tonight as a public citizen and not as a member of the Board of Education. I'm reading this ordinance, and we were led to believe that something else was going to be discussed in this ordinance for the Bethune Center. So I don't know what happened. I'm asking Councilman Robinson if he can come down off the dais and talk to us about what happened.
Okay, I mean, myself, Councilwoman Waterman, Councilwoman Ridley, the director of the Mary McLeod Bethune Center, had a meeting with the mayor 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'll say 3 weeks ago, and we discussed it, and I think that the director was good with what was going on, but I'll be happy to come down. I said I'll be happy to come down. Okay.
Say it now.
Huh? Right now.
Well, you got to vote first.
Motion.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's
I got motion, locomotion. I don't want to get run over.
Just speak.
Stay off the track. Jason Berg here. I hope with the changeover from going to Department of Works to the Office of Cultural Affairs, that there are more events happening and more people attending, and then it comes into conflict with that park that they're trying to rip up. So I hope that we can have a better cohesion here, so we have more people coming in, using our facilities, and being more communal. And I hope that does happen. I used that center when I was doing Green Waters, which was on trying to help the people grow their own. And I had the old MOT lot at 27,000 square feet. And culture needs to go on.
Yeah.
And most people don't have any culture. It's very hard to grow in a Petri dish if you have no culture. Anyway, going on. Thank you very much. So this will help this institution do better. Ward A?
Excuse me?
What?
That's the intent.
That's the intent. All right, I like the intentions. All right, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Jean Daly. I wish this did have a little bit more clarity, specifically because the Office of Cultural Affairs seems to me to have been very vague, or of late has been vague. The Office of Cultural Affairs has failed to put up some events, including the Irish Festival. They've also advertised on the Cultural Affairs calendar that House Dance Party is taking place in Exchange Place. That's what's advertised on the site.
Jean, this is just moving
Yeah,
Bethune Center under Culture Affairs,
Yeah,
that's all.
just talk about this and not the
That's all.
history of
So if you
cultural
explain it to me,
affairs.
it'd
That's
help me
all it
understand
is.
better.
Not their
That's all.
greatest hits or failures, whether or not we should move it under the Office of Cultural Affairs, the Mary McLeod Bethune Center. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, what I'm trying to assess, perhaps, is the oversight and what will be the mission of the cultural affairs in regard to that. That's what I'm trying to clarify, and that's what I'm having in question. Because also the Division of Cultural Affairs were the ones who told me that I have to call the Exchange Place Alliance for any type of gathering that needs to be happening in Exchange Place. The Cultural Affairs said you have to contact the Exchange Place Alliance. You want to have an
That's
entity.
This is,
Again, you're
this is
talking-
totally different.
Apples and oranges.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what.
You have 5 minutes. I signed you up for 5 minutes. You can.
All right, my apologies. I'm just trying to get information
then.
so we clarify it because apparently there's some questions out
It's
here.
going to be
Thank you
put
very much.
under the auspices of
Okay.
Cultural Affairs. The Life Center is going to be put under the auspices
Okay.
of the
Yes, sir.
Office of Cultural Affairs. That spells it
Okay,
out.
fine. No worries.
Just quickly, I am not very clear as to the purpose for this. I am really not pro or con. I just want to know where can I get some more information on this. I have my reservations. It was before under a different organization, and then it went to, or an autonomous organization, then it went to Public Works. Is there a specific reason why it has changed from Public Works to Cultural Affairs? Can anyone expound upon that?
Public Works doesn't run events.
Right, thank you.
Public Works doesn't run events. It was just running the building and staffing the building with security. Now the rooms will be allocated, and all of these cultural events it'll all be done under the auspices of Cultural Affairs. They'll have a special calendar, and it'll be run better.
Right. Well, just one last question on that. We know that the first floor, there were rental rooms at one point. Is it then being said that all of these programs or the programs in the future will be under Cultural Affairs, meaning that you would not have to
All
rent the space?
coordination with the Life Center will be done through Cultural Affairs.
What was that?
Instead
Repeat
of
that?
Public Works, it'll be done through Cultural Affairs instead of Public Works.
I don't think you quite answered the question.
It'll all be coordinated by Cultural Affairs, not Public Works. It used to be you had to contact Public Works to secure a room. You're doing that through Cultural Affairs.
So you can still rent the same room? That's the initial question.
The operation is being changed to Cultural Affairs. It's not going to be operated differently.
It's the same operation? Is that what you said?
It's just an organizational chart change.
Right, I just want to make sure I have the...
Reassigning responsibilities. Everything that it does now, it will do, but it'll be overseen by the Office of Cultural Affairs.
Okay. Very well.
I love a parade. Mrs. Walser.
Yes, when I first read this ordinance, what came to my mind was not the building itself, but across the street you had that very large parking lot. And I'm thinking to myself, is this the way to take that parking lot and put a building on it? Because this is what the city does all the time. I'm just hoping, I'm just stating a fact, that's what happens in Jersey City. Open space, land is transferred to the redevelopment agency, and before you know it,
Has nothing to do with
this is how the city works. A lot of
It's just
things, that's my suspicion, because things are done underhanded. We don't have public meetings, which came out last night in the meeting I was at. I'm just hoping this is not the city's way of taking away a community's parking when they have events. That is my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Close.
Second.
Who made the motion? got-
and Mayor Prinzari.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Rivera. There's a lot of people rushing to do that one. Prinzari on the second. To close the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzari. Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Stepped away.
Where'd he go? Oh, he's talking to,
Yeah.
Rivera. Waterman.
Aye.
And Lavara.
aye.
We have an 8-0 vote to close the public hearing with Councilman Robinson out of the room and absent on that vote. To adopt, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzari.
Aye.
Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon. Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 with Councilman Robinson out of the room. Will someone alert me when he returns unless I catch him with my peripheral vision? 4.11, an ordinance amending ordinance 19079 to correct the block and lot address of the property conveyed to the redevelopment agency. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Jason Bird. Where is this property in Jersey City? And I don't understand, property conveyed to? Is that given to, free?
City generally gives for nominal interest $1 or free property to the redevelopment agency. This is correcting the actual physical description and the block and lot and address.
All right, so what is the address?
336, 340 Martin Luther King Drive, and 342 Martin Luther King Drive.
And this is the building of the Jersey City, another Jersey City property?
Yes, owned by city, but we transfer land to JCRA last council meeting. At the time, I watched the YouTube, very interesting. Our two council members had they argue, but I can say that Councilman President and James Solomon was right. When we transfer city land to JCRA, transparency, they have to tell the executive what they're going to use for land. If they use a land different than what they say, they should be come back to city, or they should get approved by city council again for purpose of the land.
Right, that is a
Okay.
policy thing to talk about, but
This
all
is
we're
a correction.
doing here is simply stating the correct block and lot as being 22605, also known as 336, 340 Martin Luther King, which was mistakenly listed as 342 Martin Luther King Drive in a different block and lot.
It's a correction
That's all it's
to,
doing. It's a-
administrative correction.
Merely
And
a correction, that's
All
all.
right, no, good.
It does nothing different but identify it properly on the tax map and by address. That's all, Jason.
So the 4.14 is not related? Is it related?
When we get there, it's,
And I'm just asking a question, it's related, so I don't have to come up and waste your time again and,
no, it's not related.
not related? Oh, I didn't realize it was divorced. Thank you.
Second.
Is that you, Councilman Solomon?
Rivera motion, Solomon.
I heard you make the second, Councilman Solomon. To close the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley. Prinzari.
No, stepped out.
Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson. Still out. Rivera. Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 7-0 vote with council members Prinzari and Robinson recorded absent for the vote to close the public hearing. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Bajano.
No.
Okay, Councilperson Yun?
You know, I understand the Councilman Richie Bojan's feeling. I like to say no, but if this is already that lot transferred to JCRA, if we not amend that the correction of the block and lot number, they're going to be in trouble. Because of that, even though I hate what these things happen, what they did, but I have to no choice this time. I have to say yes to amend the block and lot numbers.
Councilman Solomon?
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera? Waterman? President?
This is just an administrative correction, but I voted no on first reading. I voted no on the original, so just to be consistent, I'm going to vote no as well. So I vote no.
Okay, moving forward, we'll catch up with missing council members when they do return. Councilperson Prinzary, we voted on the ordinance to correct the block and lot of the property conveyed to the redevelopment agency, 19-126. Your vote?
Aye.
Thank you. So that's 7-1. Council President voting no. We'll await Councilman Robinson's arrival. All right, 19-127 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to LMV Warren.
411 is Councilman Richie Bojan said no too.
Excuse me?
411. Yeah, he said no, Richie Bojano.
I recorded him as no. I apologize. It's 6-2 as we sit with Baggiano and Labaro voting no. Thank you.
Bojano, I keep an eye for you.
Thank you. 4.12 is a franchise ordinance granting permission to LMV Warren Street Holding LLP, its successors and assigns, make private improvements in the public right-of-way of Warren Street and Steuben Street adjacent to the property located at 321 Warren Street, Jersey City, New Jersey, also known on the tax map of the city of Jersey City as Block 13002, Lot 13.01. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Jason Berg again. This clarification, what is a franchise ordinance in public right-of-way?
You've been at many a meeting where we've granted franchise ordinances. That's when someone encroaches on or below or above a city sidewalk. In this case, I think this is for an electrical vault, Council President? Or water collection?
Water collection.
Well, it's for water collection. It's environmentally green. This is to develop a water collection facility under the sidewalk that will allow the water to seep out a little bit at a time so it doesn't flood the property at 321 Warren Street.
That's great. If we had less concrete and pavement, we'd do it too. Just a thought, the city should start looking into, there are materials on the market that let the water go through and it's pavement. If we start doing that to the city's streets and be more environmentally friendly.
This is thoughtful building.
I know, it's underground, but I'm just saying, these are outlets that are coming in from the street top, going into
Not going into
a
the
cistern.
storm system, so that's...
No, I know, it's going into its own cistern.
Thank
and,
you.
And being of rock, so it goes in, out. But what I'm trying to say is that we should be doing more so we wouldn't have to have as much flooding as we do, because the more we build on top of the land and the less it has to exit, the more we have flooding, because again, the water volume in the city will increase. That's why we have so many floods, and we're on the floodplain. Thank you.
Good evening, Phil Carrington once again. I'm just trying to get some clarity. I heard a statement was made, and I just want clarity. The statement was made that the franchise is using the municipal or the city sidewalk. I thought
Either above, below, or parts of the sidewalk require a franchise ordinance.
this sidewalk was used for egress. It was part of the,
This is not going to interfere with the egress or ingress of the property. It's going to be below the sidewalk.
sorry, I didn't finish my statement. I
It's
think
going to be collecting
you answered my
water
question incorrectly.
and letting it seep out as opposed to it going into the storm drain all at once. It's the green building technique.
May I proceed, sir?
Pardon?
May I proceed? The question is, I'm trying to find out exactly if the sidewalk is belong to the property owner and the city. If you read the meets and bounds, your property starts from the curb back to and bound to wherever it's end. In other words, the sidewalk was part of the homeowners and that they had to allow part of the sidewalk as egress for pedestrians. So you're saying that the sidewalk is the municipality or is it part of the property owner? That's the question.
The property owner is to maintain it, but it's a right-of-way preserved for the public to use. It is not owned for the private purpose of the landowner.
So it's not part of the,
And if you want to put a marquee above it, if it's a theater, you have to get a franchise ordinance. If you want to put a cistern in the ground to collect rainwater, you have to get permission from the city.
so the sidewalk is the municipality and not the property and the municipality?
It's a fee simple situation. It could be explained to you at a later date. But
Where can I read it? It doesn't have to be explained.
we'll get you the information.
Where can I read it? Okay.
We'll get you the information, Phil.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary. To close, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Prinzary, Vagiano,
Aye.
Yun,
Aye.
Solomon,
Aye.
Robinson, still absent. Rivera,
Aye.
Waterman, Ovara.
Aye.
We've closed 8-0. For final adoption, Councilperson Ridley,
Aye.
Prinzary, Vagiano, Yun,
Aye.
Solomon.
Just want to thank the developer Lennar for working with the city here. It's a very interesting experiment to see if we can put in better stormwater collection infrastructure in all of our projects moving forward, and we'll give this one a test, and it's an exciting idea. So thanks to all involved, and with that I vote aye.
Councilperson Rivera, Waterman, President.
Aye.
Okay, with Councilman Robinson out of the room, it's an 8-0 with, on 4.2, City Ordinance 19-127. On to 4.13.
Robert, on this one, and Councilman Waterman wants to say something, we'd like to
Well, sir,
make a motion
also,
to
we're not working on this one, so you.
re-advertise and consider this in 2 weeks. And, we've had 2 caucus meetings and haven't had a discussion in either of the caucus meetings about this. We have an ongoing committee working on rent control. So my thought is to delay for 2 weeks, give the administration and council committee time to hear. We do have, I think, a committee hearing in between now and then on October 3rd. So, and that gives us a chance to better understand why the administration views this as a priority and why, it would come outside of the work of the committee. So that's what I'd like to motion to do.
Second.
Could I ask a parliamentary favor? I know we're going to do the same thing with 4.17. That's the ordinance adopting amendments to the neighborhood district of the Jersey Avenue light rail, that's going to be carried over to the next meeting. Can we make it a multiple motion?
As long as there's no objection, so I will motion to carry 413 and 417 to
Thank you,
our next
Councilman
meeting.
Solomon.
Second.
By Councilperson Waterman. On the motion, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary. Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Just on 4.13, I just wanted to, as we look to discuss this in committee as well as meetings, caucus, while I think the idea of imposing rent control on potentially affordable rents and affordable units that have affordable rents, when we look at a project like the one that's coming before us with the tax abatement at the Newport Center, something like that would fall under this ordinance if it should be, if rent control, if the affordable housing restriction should be removed and the tax abatement should be discontinued, then those units might be subject to this sort of ordinance where 20% of those affordable units may then be under rent control, which some people would say, look at that and suggest that's a good thing, including myself. That's a possibility. But I also just kind of want to put it out there into the conversation, which is that 80% of those units are market rate luxury units that would also potentially be subject to rent control. So we would essentially be giving rent control to renters who are renting luxury apartments at large rents, right? So I don't know that that's not an outcome that I'm looking to advance, although I do want to protect those affordable units moving forward. Those that may expire whether through abatement or some other means, but I don't think the answer there necessarily is, although I'm going to look and explore and see how this works out, but the idea of providing rent control to luxury tenants is not kind of the intention of, for myself, whether it be on a tax abatement or it be on rent control laws that we should establish in the city. So I look forward to the conversation moving forward, and I'm sure it'll be a healthy discussion about Jersey City and our issues with affordability and gentrification. And with that, I'll vote yes.
Okay, so that's Councilman Robertson out of the room. The motion carries 8-0. So they will be advertised for a public hearing to be held on Thursday, the 10th day of October. I know that we're going to be approving that resolution, so that's... So we're to 4.14. It's an ordinance authorizing the City of Jersey City to enter into a lease purchase agreement as lessee with JCP SHQ Investors LLC as lessor for a public safety building to be constructed on Block 22601, lots 1 through 5, at the northeast corner of the intersection of Martin Luther King Drive and Kearney Avenue. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Jason Berg, what is the cost for the construction and the lease, and how long will the lease be enacted?
It's a lease to own.
To the administration.
know?
Excuse me? The cost of the construction and the lease.
It's a lease to own. Yeah, get on the mic.
Get on your mic there, John.
Turn your mic on, Mike.
Bring your mic right up on you.
A 25-year lease-to-own option and a 30-year lease-to-own option.
So he want to know what is the total construction cost. There were two different construction costs. One, a base construction cost, and
Hi, Eric Moore, developer. Good evening, council. The answer is there's two financial options. One is for a 25-year.
No, we cannot hear you.
If you come up to the podium, the council will get you much better. Mr. Berg, could you just remove yourself for a moment? You've asked the question, we'll get you the answer.
Yes, I will move.
All right, the silly, don't be silly, Jason, please.
I like being silly.
You like walking up to the microphone, too.
Okay, let's move on. Come on.
So the question is the construction cost for the two options? All right, so one cost, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. There's one for 25 years and there's one for 30 years. And one is approximately 118 million and the other one is approximately 119 million.
119.
Set forth in the ordinance per year.
I just want to verify that.
Wait. Hold on a second.
So,
Good, Councilman.
okay, 20 years, if we list 25 years, you say our construction cost is $118 million. If we get 30 years lease, how much is the construction cost?
It's approximately 118 for the 25 years and approximately 119 for the 30 years.
But he asked construction cost. Construction cost doesn't matter how many years we have, construction cost not change. You know what I'm saying? So you gave us
I gave project cost.
right. So then when we reach 25 years and the 30 years, project is different?
Yes, the only difference is in 30 years, there's more interest on the loan, so it's a little bit more money over the 30 years, but the annual payments are less.
So you're talking about construction costs or lease costs?
That's what I'm saying.
Why would the construction cost be different for 25?
The construction cost is not, but he's looking for the total project cost.
No.
It's like borrowing for 25 years or extending it to 30 years. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So basically, we don't own it. You're building it, but how much does it cost for the building itself? Not the long-term lease, the actual cost of that project, not the
Cost of the project?
the project. How much does it cost to put up a building?
I just gave you those
First
numbers.
year's basic rent will be $383,333 per month, or nearly $4,600,000 per year.
No, see, he's asking for construction costs, right?
Yes, construction cost.
Like, how much does it cost to build a building? You're building a building, it's gonna cost 25 million, 40.
Yeah, I don't have those exact numbers. If I can go look at the
That's
lease.
what he's asking, right, Jason?
No, he's asking how much to put up the building, which is the total project cost. There's other things other than just the construction. There's
I don't even
architectural, there's engineering, there's all the
Well,
different things.
again, that's, when you do a building, you have to have it approved by an architect. You have
Right,
to have it
so that's the
signed.
numbers I gave you.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about, I'm talking about is the actual cost of the building. Everything is inferred into the total.
Okay.
What is the bottom line to put up this building, which is a 4 to 5 story? How tall is this building?
10-story building.
What?
10-story.
10-story building. All right. So how much does it cost to put up a 10-story building? That's all I'm asking. Not the, if it said it costs $100,000, I personally think we spent $17 million on 440. Why don't we just buy the darn thing and save ourselves the money? That's my point. We don't have enough capital to do what we need. We're gonna have to have something. I've seen the buildings, the court building up at Summit Avenue fell apart. I don't want bad construction. I want the best construction. Really, folks. You get what you pay for. And sometimes we get paid for being screwed. Thank you.
Well, I just happen to believe
let him
that
go.
the building that they just put up is the City Hall Annex. It seems to be holding up pretty well here.
It's beautiful. I would have been really smart if they would have made that same building taller.
I think that's why
It
we
would have
did
saved
that.
us a lot more money. If you do it once, you generally have a baby. If you do it twice, you have two babies or twins. Thank you.
We could ask Jeremy about that.
Okay, let's move on. Phil?
May I? Oh, just for clarity again, I'm quite sure I overheard someone say they have the ordinance, the whole ordinance, and they read it. I didn't. I'm just trying to get clarity again. They are leasing the property from which part of the city or the municipality? For example, are they leasing it from the real estate department of Jersey City? Are they leasing it from an autonomous agency that is associated with the city? I need to understand exactly when they say they're leasing it from the city. The question then is, which part of the city is it being leased from or to?
I'm gonna check the question out. You said they are leasing. Who are they?
According to this JC, whatever else, Investors LLC is leasing it from the city for 25 years. Is that what you were saying? So
The city is leasing from the developer.
is that what it is?
25
Or
years, and then
developer
we'll
leasing
own
it
it.
from them? I'm not sure.
No, we're the same thing that happened at the annex right now. We have a lease from the developer, or a lease with the developer.
Or the city is leasing it from?
It's a lease to purchase
A
agreement.
lease to purchase after 25 years or after 30 years, and I think the price is $1. After the 25 or 30 years, the cost would be $1 that we would pay the developer. We will own the building.
Point well taken. Okay.
Oh, hello, Jean Daly. I just have a quick question. I remember Mr. Yoon was speaking many times about some type of insurance policy about the building not falling apart within X amount of years. Do we have something written that they are responsible for all repairs? Nope.
No.
So there's no warranty guarantee for that building. They do what they want. They can put what they want. Anything breaks down, it's our fault.
So if I'm wrong, correct me. If we installed air conditioning units, the air conditioning come with a manufacturer warranty, then automatically we cover. But the other builder, if they do any structure, craftsmanship, whatever they did wrong, minute they finish the project, we are the responsible.
Right, well, that concerns me specifically because, I can buy a toaster from the Salvation Army from World War II and it still works. Whereas I can't get anything that's made elsewhere. It's actually made to fail. So that there is consumerism constantly and we become, we buy and we dump in the garbage. That really bothers me. I think it's absolutely an outrage that we would do anything otherwise. And I think it's a disgrace, in fact, that we do not have any protection, which just tells me more and more that this whole idea of lease to own is kind of not the best idea for our city's future. In fact, we should be keeping and buying our own properties and developing it ourselves. It can be done. We just got to cut the waste. And that's my disgust with this whole process. Thanks.
So I think we tried to do that, to build our own buildings with the DPW, and that took how many years? And we tried that with the West Precinct as well, and that took about 8 years. Brandywine has built this building. It took 18 months, and my office is in this building, and we have experienced a water leak, like with the roof, and I can say that Brandywine has been there to fix the roof. So to say that there's no warranties is not really true when these people are there every day on that premises, making sure that the work that is that anything that goes wrong is being worked on. And to say that we may get a building that falls down, that really takes a shot at our building department, and say that our building department really doesn't understand or know what they're doing if they're gonna pass and give these people final COs to operate the building.
Yes, Yvonne Bolser. I remember distinctly when the city went through City Hall Annex. And one of the things Mayor Phillip was selling is that we just have to pay the rent and everything will be on their shoulders. And then later on, I've been noticing bonds coming in, called extra money. What do you mean? I've been going to City Hall meetings since the 1970s, and I've never seen extra money from bonds. But apparently, we found extra money in bonds, I guess we over bond, to transfer to the construction of City Hall Annex. So what the mayor was saying what it cost, it was not true. We were adding more and more and more money, of bond money, to finish off the cost of City Hall Annex.
There were design changes that did that.
The bottom line is, I didn't read all of it. I read some of it. This is only like half of it. I was reading this last night, and it appears as though, again, there's no guarantees for the taxpayer. I can see right now the same kind of maneuvering going on in which we are adding more bond and more bond money. And we're actually already bond way up here. We're really bond way up here. What really helps the city is the reval, which raised up our debt limit, and we can go into more debt. But in actuality, the city is not paying that debt. I am, and all the other taxpayers are paying that debt, except for rent control or affordable housing, which has a flat fee. They don't pay any of that debt. So I am really concerned about there should be more controls over this financially, because you're there to represent the taxpayer. Even looking at this, where it says square footage, it says 120,000 square feet and no less than 115,000 square feet. Well, that's a big difference between those two, between that square footage and that square footage. If you're going to build something, even a private building, you know exactly how much square footage it is. I find the language in here really that loose, and I am not in construction, but like many people who own a home, I've had buildings, walls torn down, and I had to go over plans with the contractor. And you learn through the years. And I find the language here not to benefit the taxpayer. That's what I'm trying to say. And this is a question that someone asked me to ask. They want to know, during this process, who is going to be responsible for the maintenance? Will it be the city or the leasee? Just want to know that. Someone asked me to ask that question.
Can you repeat your question, Yvonne?
Okay, during the construction, in terms of maintenance, who will be responsible for this? Will it be the city or the leasee in terms of, I guess the people constructing it, for the maintenance of the building, like during the construction part? Who's responsible for how it's going on?
Georgia City.
The developer is responsible, Brandywine.
Which one?
Responsible, yeah. Well, I can see right now, we're on the hook again for a building that probably cost overrun by at least $10 million, at least, because I know exactly what happened over there. So, I'm just, and what else I find really horrible is that there were for this kind of money that we're going to be, indebted to, building, there should be more public hearings. It's not as though the public necessarily are against new things construction. What I have a problem with is like what happened last night at Hudson Catholic High School. The public is not made aware. I would have liked to know down the road that the city is going to put me in debt more, and how much money it's really going to cost. Just tell them in advance. When you hand out those tax letters and saying what a great job you're doing, please have on the other side of the page, and by the way, Mr. or Mrs. Taxpayer, we're going to go into bonding debt and add this more money, and your taxes will go up. Just be honest, be transparent, and let the public know. Thank you very much.
We're not bonding for this.
We aren't, yes.
We always bond down the road. We always.
Bernard,
Hi, my name is Bernard Shivers from Beach Construction.
lift the microphone up and repeat your last name, Bernard.
Shivers,
right?
Yes.
Okay, please begin.
I was a part of the City Hall Annex being built. First, I just like to say I've been here 5 decades, all my life, and I've seen the city build buildings and other contractors come in and build buildings. I got with Eric from Brandywine and we built a building that might have took the city 12 years and it might have took another contractor a little longer. Did it in 18 months. I'm there every single day, handling any issues, anything anybody got to say, I'm right there. You tap me on the shoulder. What people not understanding that the city is not paying this money. This money is coming from a private source. The city is just paying the lease once they move in. And at the end of the lease, you pay $1 and the building is yours. People are not looking at the big picture of things. We're always with the cost, which I understand. I'm not that good with numbers, but Eric is. You got to worry about what the project represents. This building that we're talking about today might save, will save children's lives. And we're not looking at that. We're always worrying about the numbers and not worrying about what is really needed there for. We have 13 and 14-year-old kids right there, right now, shooting in broad daylight, killing each other. And we're worrying about money and not worrying about what's the most important thing of coming home from work, not hearing that your son was on the corner or walking down the street and something happened to him because there was no protection. Putting this precinct here, like I said, a lot of people just coming here. I've been here all my life. It's one of the biggest things that we could have done, that we can do, that we have control of. It's not about the money, it's about saving lives. Okay, get the money right. But the purpose of this building is very much needed. And when we talk about it, let's talk about all aspects of it. And what's crazy is that the city never bonds the jobs we do. They don't put money out for it, anything. The reason why it took 18 months because of the changes that the city wanted. The reason why the money went up because of the city wanted changes. It wasn't us. It wasn't construction. Any issues with any job that we done, we're right there. You know how you call a contractor and they don't answer? That ain't us. Not only am I going to answer, everybody knows I'm there every day. So I represent Brandywine. Brandywine represent the hood, represent me, and I appreciate what Eric does for us. And building this building will also give jobs to those that can't get jobs. And that's important too. So I understand your concerns. I just want people just to look at all of it when you speak. Just know the facts. And I want to thank the council because without y'all, I wouldn't be here. Y'all the best council, I'm telling you. I love you guys, and you know it. All right, thank you.
Public hearing on the ordinance? No, Laverne's coming.
You know what? The sad part of all this is we don't look at the big picture. We talk about pricing. We talk about this. One thing he did say, and I can confirm and contest to, he been here 5, I've been here 7 plus 1. I had a business on MLK. had a business on Municipal in Woodward. I did a building called the Webb Apartments on MLK and Oak. Solid brick and steel building and beams. I know what it costs to build. I did the Fred Martin building between Warner and Bidwell. I'm on the way to doing a building on Stegman between Wegman and Stegman on MLK. But the thing tonight, what bothers me more than anything, is that if people come up to this podium and fight like what went on down here in Ward E, what's being done with the buildings, and we done gave this ward away like a cheap prostitute, and what have we gained out of it? We need to do the homework on a whole lot. Do you come up to Ward F, this guy, guys come home from prison, he do give them jobs. He do work in the community. He changed his life, he changed other people's lives around. He goes and get guys off the corner, give them work. That don't mean nothing to some people. But when you're born and raised in this city, and I went to Ferris High School, the old Ferris High School down here with Menez, then to Lincoln, and up and down this avenue, and see the change. We're not looking about where people got to live in this city. And what you should be asking, if you want to ask Eric Moore, say, you know what, Eric? What are you doing to help with housing? You all keep hollering about affordable housing. Maybe Eric can work with some developers with that. We argue about the wrong things. We are not looking at the bigger picture for this city. And if you ride up and down Ward F on Martin Luther King Drive, from every corner, from from Fairmont to McAdoo, we got people on the corners that need jobs. Do we go by there and tell them about job fairs, or do we tell Eric, you know what we need you to do to set up a job fair for this next project? Are we doing this instead of here that's complaining? We got to do better, people.
All right, thank you, Laverne. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Motion?
By Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzary. Close the public hearing.
Public safety.
Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary. Aye. Baggiano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman.
Aye.
Lavara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing.
Before Council President, we take the vote, I have a few questions because I missed the meeting. So who is the developer? Brandywine, can you come up answer my question? Reason I'm asking a few things, I try to make sure taxpayers are aware that how much cost will be public safety building. Number one, you say $180 million for build public safety building. You just $180 million is a base building, not include the fit-up work, correct?
Includes fit up and actually includes city allowances.
So include the fit-up, right?
Correct.
Okay, so reason I'm asking you, when we build the city hall annex building, actually, the time they gave us only base construction cost, and the fit-up was actually extra, was it? You know, you guys give us $2 million, but it wind up millions of dollars we have to spend more. So now, This case is a $180 million total cost of construction, include the base building and the fit up altogether.
Correct.
Okay, so in other words, if a city government not ask any change order, this is a maximum cost will be City of Jersey City.
Correct, except the fit out is an allowance. So it's a much higher allowance that was in the annex. But as long as you don't go over the allowance, that will be the total cost.
Okay, so now, how much is your allowance?
The allowance is about $130 a foot,
$130 a foot.
approximately.
Okay, so we talking about the build up to 120,000 square feet. So you guys give us $130 for.
Yes.
Okay, so now let me ask you this one.
And just so you know, Councilman, the annex came in around $111 with the changes. So there's a couple specialty items in this building, given the 911 center, et cetera, but there should be and anything you don't use the allowance, the city gets back.
So then let me ask you this one. How much was we overspend that City Annex building, what was actually project cost, construction cost?
Wait, let me couch that question. The cost overruns, the city made changes to the plans to make it a grand foyer, and things were done after the design and it was actually built. So there was a couple $1 million in cost incurred with those changes.
Correct. They were city requested changes.
Okay, city request change because of the couple of $1 million or extra more than what you predict.
Well, not that. There's a design change. They changed the lobby, where the lobby would be. There was a lot of different changes made by, planning and other people in the administration.
Okay. So I like to our taxpayer of Jersey where that total construction $180 million. Over the 25 years, the lease, City of Jersey taxpayer will be pay rent $198 million, which means that 25 years, we pay $80 million over the construction costs. So your company invests $180 million, and over the 25 years, you collect $80 million extra. Not bad.
We don't make anything different between what the lender is owed and what you pay.
Okay.
Developer makes zero spread along the way.
Okay, so then where do you guys again make money?
What's that?
Where they make money?
Where do I make my money?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
There's a developer fee on the project.
So then, good question. What is a developer fee?
Our developer fee is around 4.5% on this project.
So around the $4 million, you mean? Almost $5 million?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So then now I'm going to ask our business administrator. They have a two lease option. One is a 25 years, one is a 30 years. Would you explain to us, this city council, when you're going to go 25, when you're going to go 30 years? What is the difference? Which situation you go 30 years? Can you explain to us?
I can explain that if you'd like.
Okay.
So on the annex and on 342 investors, we got 25-year loan. There's a possibility we can get a 30-year loan on this project. So Greg Corrado, the business administrator, asked me to price it both ways. So once we go to the market, we can either go 25 or 30. It's been told to me that it's preferable to go 30 because there's lower payments over the term.
So now,
per year.
This is what my concern.
But that's not my decision, Councilman. It's your guys' decision.
Yes,
Which you want to go.
yes. But now, our assistant to business administrator, you just mentioned to that, you guys gonna go private lender to get the broad money, correct?
Correct. Which is roughly $30 million less than bonding.
That's what I'm saying. So in other words, city municipal government to issue bond to capital improvement, so interest sounds like higher than borrowed money from the private sector. Is that true?
Well, the analysis that was the analysis that your financial advisor came up with.
So now, most average people of Jersey City pretty smart. and the bond council and the city of Jersey business administrator sit on that chair, they always say issue bond costs far cheaper than borrow the money from the private sector, private company, private lender, whatever we call. Now you say, and our assistant business administrator say, issue capital improvement of bond, interest higher than borrowed money from the private lender. Does that make sense?
Let's be clear, I did not say this.
Yes, you not say that.
I said NW Financial did an analysis that compared the financing I have with bonding, and they came up with the difference in savings.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't care who financial consulting company putting the numbers together. If anybody believes that issues a bond interest higher than private lender, then every government, I can't even say, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay, we have to take it,
All right, we have to.
control our,
Really, because I support that public safety building in that area. I agree with you. When I told that, it's a great idea about time we have.
Okay.
But they present to city council, we make a based on finance and the future of Jersey City's master plan. But if there is our assistant business administrator printed the paper, borrow money from the bond, cost more than private lender, if anybody believes that what they say, they got out of mind, really. One of the reasons city continues to bond instead to borrow money from the private lender because the interest is cheaper. And they put in our documentation here by city officers say bond interest costs more than to borrow the money from the private lender. How the hell they can say that like this?
okay, we need to
Come on.
take it down.
I'm the one of the taxpayer. Even though I support that project, the way you put your documentation to city council, unacceptable.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
going to take the vote,
There's
Council.
no further questions, then we're going to take the vote at this point.
We'll vote in order. Councilperson Ridley. Close the public hearing. Thank you. Prinzary.
Aye.
Fagiano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Waterman. Ovara.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote for the final adoption of City Ordinance 19-129. Just two remaining council members. Item 4.15, Ordinance 19095 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Journal Square 2060 redevelopment plan.
No, we're not both for.
Did we vote, Robert?
Yes,
No.
you did.
No.
Robert, I believe some
I'm
of the,
sorry, it was final vote. I misspoke. We did close the public hearing. We brought,
No, we just vote for the,
we had closed the public
close the
hearing.
public hearing. That's it.
We had closed the public hearing. I was taking the vote to adopt it. We had closed the public hearing.
can we,
If there's.
I believe,
yeah, if
I
we
believe
have
some
to
of the
do a- let's
council.
do a re-
Yeah,
let's
I
do
think.
a redo on the
Correct.
vote. On the final vote for the adoption of City Ordinance 19-129, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzary.
Aye.
Fagiano.
I got to say something. We sold 325 Palisade Avenue. We sold 8 Erie Street, which was police headquarters. Then we rent the building in Journal Square for $842,000 for 10 years. Now we're creating a new building miles away at the other end of the city. I think this whole thing, this city is a joke. I vote no.
Councilman Yun.
I agree with the mayor to have public safety building to have it. I agree with that. And the location, I agree with him. But our own assistant business administrator provide documentation, something, actually, I'm going to say it's a false documentation. I think it's not right. Because of that, even though I agree with the concept of build of the public safety building, I cannot say yes. It's a totally wrong. It's a disgusting. It's a joke, really.
Okay.
How the hell we gonna be both of them based on false information? I mean, time to wake up. You know, we're not talking about a couple of $1 million. We're talking about $180 million. We're talking $198 million we have to pay. I mean, enough is enough. When you present the document to the City of Jersey City, this council, they gotta pay more attention, and they gotta more pay. I mean, cautiously put the numbers. I cannot accept. Even though I agree with the council project, based on their numbers, the presentation unacceptable. I'm gonna vote for no.
Councilman Solomon,
I vote aye.
Robinson,
I just want to make a few statements. This public safety building is more than just a building with public safety. This building right here is about the belief in Jersey City. Although I represent Ward F, this is not just about Ward F. This is more about the belief in Jersey City and what Jersey City can and will become. I truly believe from sitting here that Jersey City is the best mid-sized city in the country. And we still have problems with the tale of two cities. This building would be more than just public safety and prevent safety. This building is going to bring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of city employees and foot traffic from the people who visit these sites every day to not only be in the neighborhood, to hopefully want to move to the neighborhood and hopefully support the businesses that we have that's yet to still come in the neighborhood. This is just a belief in Jersey City, and you know, I understand the councilman's story about the money and everything, but there's never been one vote where he voted for something that really helps the south side of Jersey City. And
Watch out what you say.
I truly believe.
Councilman,
Okay.
Solomon,
Hold on.
the way you
let's
say
let him
is
finish his
unacceptable.
comments.
Every time when I say bring the issue,
You vote
try
against
to bring
Ward
the
F
race
every
issue
single
in
time.
the city
You
council.
vote against
Stop
Ward
that.
F every
Gentlemen.
single time. There's
that,
not
the way
been
you
one
play.
vote that I've been here in 3 years that you
Come on.
voted for anything
Don't do
to
that,
help the
okay?
south side of the city.
Nice.
Show some
You've
respect
never
to your
even
county,
been
all
to
right?
the south side of the city.
Southside
Maybe
City,
one day
we
you
talked
should
about
walk
this more
Martin
as a
Luther
city.
King Avenue.
Come on.
I've been on
That's
Central
it.
Avenue. You've never
Gentlemen.
even been up there.
Okay.
You don't care about the south side, and I said it.
All right.
How
And
the
I will
hell
say
knows
it
that
again.
I'm care
How
or
the
not?
hell you think
Please
you don't
watch out
sit
what
here
you
and talk
say.
to me
Gentlemen.
like
You
that?
tried to
You
divide the
had
people
your
into
chance
city.
to make comments.
That's it. You're
You
the
had
problem
your
then.
chance to make comments.
Gentlemen.
I didn't say nothing.
Councilman.
You're going to respect
Yes.
what I say.
Yes, Councilman Robinson concludes his remarks.
Once again, we have council people who don't believe in the south side of Jersey City, or probably don't
come
believe
on.
in Jersey
Again.
City, period, if they live here at all. I don't believe they live here. I don't really even care to sit here and have this conversation. You could get up and walk away. The people of Jersey City deserve better, and I'm happy and proud to vote aye for this public safety building.
Councilperson Rivera,
I vote aye.
Councilperson Waterman, Council President.
Okay. So let me. I'm the cool one in this one. I respect your passion on this, absolutely, Councilman Robinson. So let me just say a few comments about this, and I won't belabor the point, which is that, I mean, the financial analysis that we have is, demonstrates that there will be savings to the city over time, the bond versus lease payments in terms of how we do that. As Councilman Robinson pointed out, when first approved the City Hall Annex and subsequent buildings after that, the idea was that we were investing in Ward F and making investments, financial investments in Ward F, and bringing foot traffic and people who will be there and work there and be able to invigorate the neighborhoods and the businesses in the area. And so this is, when we did the first City Hall Annex, I didn't know that we were necessarily going to go and bring 3 more buildings to the area as a result. Not quite sure how I feel about that at the end of the day, but it is an investment in the communities that have long been neglected. That being said, I just wanted to also just point out that that with the transfer of a lot of city employees coming from other properties, that we have the Gong Club and the South Street Fire Union offices, and then the main property here involved, that's the sale of fire headquarters ultimately on Marin Boulevard, and that being valued between $25 to $35 million for potential sale. And I'll just reiterate for myself, particularly given that 2 of these properties are in downtown Jersey City, and the idea that we will look to, when we look for more affordable housing opportunities for Jersey City residents, and when we talk about gentrification again, the idea that those properties and making those available as opportunities when they become vacated to whatever the plans are there going forward, that we make sure that affordable housing is at the top of the agenda there for those properties, on all of them in general. That being said, I think Councilman Robinson and Mr. Shiver said it well. This is not just necessarily about dollars and cents, although we should be mindful and make sure, and in this case, the dollar and cents do seem to make sense, and but also it represents so much more, and the developer and Mr. Shivers have demonstrated that they're putting Jersey City men and women to work on these projects, and so with that, I will cast my vote aye.
Thank you. Final recorded vote is 7-2. Council members Bajano and Yun voting no. Thought that vote to adopt went too smoothly and quickly. Moving on to item 4.15, City Ordinance 19095. It's an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Journal Square 2060 redevelopment plan to amend the zoning regulations for Zone 4B, bonus corner lot regulations for the property at 96-110 Tunnelly Avenue. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Prinzeri. To close the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzeri.
Aye.
Bajano. Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. Lavara.
Aye.
We've closed the public hearing 9-0 for final adoption of item 4.15, City Ordinance 19095. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzeri.
Aye.
Bajano.
Aye.
Yun. See you in the room?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here. I vote
We're
for
on 4.15.
aye.
Solomon?
Councilman Bojano's ward, so taking his lead and voting aye.
Robinson?
I feel the same way, Councilman Bajano. You did a lot of work on this, making sure that they change things to make it right. I vote aye.
Waterman? Excuse me, Rivera? Aye. Waterman? Aye. Lavara?
So the amendment to this redevelopment plan would provide the developer an additional 72 units here, increasing the number of units from 130 to 202 units, with 14 of those being affordable units, which is 20% of the additional 72 units. Tomorrow, The city council, seven members of the city council will have the first meeting of its inclusionary zoning committee, which will work to reconcile differences between two inclusionary zoning ordinances. By any standard of either inclusionary zoning ordinance, this development would be subject to inclusionary zoning, although technically it is not the law right now, so it is not subject to that. If it were subject, it would be required to have 40 affordable units rather than the proposed affordable units. But I should note in fairness that in addition to assuming the cost of 14 affordable units, the developer is also proposing to construct a bioswale at Brett Triangle Park and maintain it for 30 years. I had requested a fiscal analysis in this, and the council did receive the fiscal analysis for this redevelopment plan change on September 16th, 2019. While that is nearly 9 days ago, for my part, I need more time to review these fiscal analyses and provide thoughtful consideration as we work to establish an inclusionary zoning policy. So with that being said, I can't make as informed a decision as I'd like to in this matter, and will abstain.
Okay, City Ordinance 19-095 is adopted 8-0-1. An abstention by the Council President. On to our last second reading. It's City Ordinance 19-131. It's an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 3, Administration of Government, and Chapter 188, Housing Accommodation and Affordable Housing Compliance.
Yvonne Bolster, what I would like to know, if this city council have ever thought to doing a cost analysis to taxpayers, because whenever you put in affordable housing, we have to pay more schools, probably hire more cops and whatnot. That cost is not transferred onto the new residents. It is transferred onto people like me, the longtime residents. So nothing is free. I would like to know, when you start doing this, what is the cost? What is the cost to government?
Can I explain something to you? We're changing the administrative code to create a housing accommodation and affordable housing compliance unit.
That's not within, okay, so what you're talking about is different, but I still think what I'm saying is correct. When you buy a house, you go to a mortgage and they'll tell you how much house you can afford. And the same thing about this, you're bringing in housing. How much of it can I afford before I lose my house to satisfy your whims? How much can the average citizen afford at a certain level? Do you ever think of that? Nothing is free.
This is to streamline the organization
Well,
of government.
maybe I should bring this up during my comments, but I think there should be something done when I get my tax bill that maybe $1,000 of my tax bill goes to subsidize affordable housing and rent control. I want that statement on my tax bill. Thank you very much.
It's a public hearing on the ordinance. No, Jason has to make a grand entrance from the back.
See my plan. You don't like my voice? That's okay. I'll speak louder. Yes, affordable housing basically is an oxymoron. And by the use of the formulas, you're looking at like 20%. And really, I really think that every building in the city, that your apartment should be over 2, should be under rent control. And even as a supplement, it needs to be looked at more. I mean, affordable housing is a challenge here in the city is how many buildings are vacant in this city? Is there a survey? There's a lot of houses in there I am in South Ward on Neptune Avenue that are vacant. I mean, what is the council doing here to look at, and there may be off point, President, but the real point here is we really have to start looking at our inventory of what we have in the city. And that is very key, because how many of these buildings are vacant? Even with the owner, I have a neighbor that's on my block the house has been vacant since his mother died, and that's years. But I'm saying we need to do a real good job and doing surveys and what properties are vacant and who is the shareholder of that house. I mean,
good point.
And
Thank you.
when houses, here's that's really interesting. You hit people for taking care of the property. The person may be dead.
Yes, sir.
And,
Thank you.
you know, you're putting liens on. liens
Thank you,
mean
Jason.
nothing if they're not
Jason.
properly applied. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No. Thank you, good night.
I'll chip in for your meds if you need some help. Mr. Simoncini?
Ron Simoncini, Jersey City Property Owners Association. A couple times tonight in the dialogue, we've heard affordable housing references potentially coming from rent control. The mechanics of it don't actually work that way. When you have a unit that's designated affordable housing, the pricing is
Ron,
set.
just like the others, this is about an affordable housing compliance unit.
We're creating-
Establishing a unit. We're not talking about like affordable housing regulations here per se. We're just talking about the function of government of providing a compliance office.
Let me save my comments to the open session. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing
Motion.
by Councilperson Rivera. We'll give you the second, Councilperson Prinzeri. To close the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley, Prinzeri, Bajano, Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. I didn't hear you, Councilman Waterman. Thank you, Council President.
Aye.
We have a 9-0 vote to close the public hearing for final adoption of our final second reading ordinance tonight. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Prinzeri. Bajano.
Aye.
Yun.
I'm gonna be abstaining.
Yeah, I think, I should have abstained.
Okay, you can change.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Rivera. Waterman. Lavara.
Robert, can you change me to abstain? I want further information on this. Right.
702 abstentions by council members Bajano and Yun.
Didn't Rolando?
I did not.
The council president didn't vote.
I apologize, Council President. Your vote, Council President?
Yeah, from my part as well, I'm gonna, I just, this has come before the council before, so I did not get to dig into this as much as I would like to, and so I'm going to abstain as well. Yeah, it's an affordable housing compliance unit. It's,
We have a 603 vote. Abstentions by Bajano, Yun, and Lavara. Council members, we're to the list of speakers. Laverne.
I had it. I'm here tonight about the children of Jersey City on this Sunday. 2 weeks ago, I gave all the council people a flyer about school uniforms. I'm giving out brand new, the developer that's doing the development, and Mr. Bogiani Ward is sponsoring $12,000 worth of school uniform shirts to Jersey City School. And I told you 2 weeks ago, we started on my block when my councilman cooked hot dogs and hamburgers for 5 hours. Now we're gonna challenge Councilwoman in Ward A on Sunday between 2 and 7. We'll be giving out school shirts for all schools of Jersey City. The colors are navy blue, light blue, burgundy, green, and black. These colors I gave out up in your ward, go ahead, downtown, up in his school 7 and all that. Down here, school 4 and 3. But children in your ward that don't have brand new school uniform shirts, I'll be giving them out this Sunday up at Heavenly Temple between 2 and 7. Councilman Ward A, we're going to be up there working. So please, if you know children in your district that need brand new school uniform, shirts, I will be passing out. We will at Heavenly Temple on this Sunday. We have the long sleeve shirts like this navy blue I have on, the short sleeve polo, 3 buttons. So please send them out. I gave everybody a flyer, and I'm going home so I can get ready. My councilwoman from Ward A is going to take over. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Ms. Laverne, I just want to be clear. I can't work the grill like Councilman Robinson did, but I think he'll come back and do it for us on Ward A too.
Is Dawn Doherty here? Yvonne, you're up.
Yvonne Balser. As a person who has family in Ward F, I'm appalled with your statement to the councilman, Councilman Young. Number one, we have a resolution 103, and on the back of the resolution is a electronic seal on tax liens. And I've been watching every tax lien since the 1988 revow. And the majority of the people who lose their homes are the people in Ward F because they are homeowners and they can't afford the taxes. So the person that this councilman from Ward C represents is the people who are homeowners in Ward F who are struggling because affordable housing does squat for them. They have to pay a tax bill. And what normally happens to the resident in Ward F, when one of the spouses die, the city doesn't say, well, gee, your tax is cut in half because your spouse died. The city continues to give that person their tax bill. So I am very happy that there's a councilman who goes over these numbers as he does, and I am appalled by your statement. It is racist. In my
You live in
opinion.
Ward F?
I am appalled by it because I have seen
I'm appalled
the number
that you're
of
talking to
people-
me like that.
I have seen a number of people.
I am appalled
who
that you're
have lost
talking to
their
me like
homes
that.
in Ward F due to taxes. I've known them. I had a lady come up to me, this is going back in '89, who
Yvonne.
lost her home.
Yvonne,
Wait a minute.
all comments should be directed to the council as a body, not
Let me finish what I have
not
to say.
directly to other members,
I
directly to members
have
of the council.
this lady and her husband, one had cancer, one had heart disease. And I was getting a petition one day for something, and they signed it. And she said to me that they cannot afford their taxes and their medicine. So they made a pact that they will pay the taxes so the surviving member of the family could stay in the home. Taxes, no one really cares about the homeowner in this city. And I am appalled when someone pulls this, that you don't care anything about Ward F. Ward F has gotten a lot of stuff, by the way. Ward F has gotten a community center that other towns do not have. Where is the community center in Ward C, or Ward A, and Ward B, and Ward D? Where are their community centers? I get a little annoyed by this. We have severe problems that people lose their homes if they don't pay the February, the May, or the August tax payment of the same tax year, they go into a lien. They don't have affordable housing because they don't have no affordable taxes. And no one cares about them. And I have seen people in Jersey City lose their homes, longtime neighbors. Because if someone, we have already, we got to pay $198 million on this, $175 million on Bayfront, and all the other, and we got to pay an additional $120 million for the school tax. Where's the money going to come from? Are we wealthy or what? So yes, I appreciate that you go over these numbers, and I don't want to hear anything about you do not represent Ward F. I have family still in Ward F. And I am very happy you go over those numbers. And anything less than that is an attack on you personally. And I take it quite seriously that my neighbors I have known for the last 40-something years are either selling their homes or they're losing their homes. And there's people here I know, and I can't mention names, it's not my job to embarrass someone who's not elected to office. I know people personally who has lost their homes through taxes. Nice, good, hardworking people, and a lot of them were in Ward A and Ward F. Very good, nice people, because they can't afford the taxes. They don't have extra money, to sell, and it's just the way it is. So all this affordable housing does nothing for them. You're just transfer a tax, another deal for them, so someone comes in, they pay the bills. And I think it's absolutely wrong. And I will not stay here and allow someone attack a council person who looks over the numbers to protect citizens. That is absolutely wrong. I will not stand for it at all. Thank you very much. I had a lot more I wanted to say, but that to me is more important.
Chris Adair. Is Chris Adair present? We go up to 11 today, council members. Melissa Goodwin. Is Melissa Goodwin present? Susan DeLay. Are you Susan? Oh, Suzanne, I'm sorry. Forgive me, I'm on my 14th hour. Your time isn't up, it's just beginning. Please begin.
I live in Ward B, and but the reason why I'm here is because I understand that the problem that I have in my neighborhood is actually a citywide problem. It's about food dumping. On Pavonia Avenue, between Corbin and West Side, there's the park, and there's the strip of land that is between the fence, the park fence, and the sidewalk. And virtually every day, and I mean virtually every day, there's someone who comes and dumps a lot of bakery products. I'm talking like 30 and 40 rolls. Sometimes pounds of flour, cornmeal, looks like cornmeal, or croutons. There was a whole bunch of watermelon the other day. And this summer, cans of cat food, sometimes 3 and 4 cans of cat food. I reported it to the city through the internet portal, along with photographs that I had taken. And there wasn't any response, so I did it again, and there wasn't any change. I actually saw a gentleman doing it one morning. I don't know if it's, I'm just assuming it's one person on my street that are doing it. But one morning, he comes before 6 o'clock in the morning. And I reported that to the city too. But one day, when I was going to work, there were gentlemen who were the parks people cleaning up. And I said, you know, this is every day. Do you report this? And he said, oh, this is all over the city. He said, we clean this up every day in the parks all over the city. And he said that his understanding is that this is some religious thing that some people do, that they're connected and they're doing this in misguided thought of helping animals, apparently. And one day I did see a woman who was near Journal Square, and she had 2 very large bags, plastic bags, and when she was behind the Lowe's where Magnolia Avenue is, there was bushes, and I saw her go into her bag and take out bread and put it in the bushes. She was just doing a few crumbs, not like 30 and 40. And I have photographs of this I'll send you. It just seems crazy to me. So are you aware that this is happening in the city? And is there something that can be, this is the first time I have ever come to a city council meeting, so I don't know, once I put forth a problem, what happens now?
Well, Suzanne, if you want to speak with my aide, LaKendrick Shaw, he'll get your contact information, and we can have a further discussion about this. This is the first that's come to my attention. Okay. I don't know if Councilman Bogiano has heard the same on that park.
Person feel it's the same problem.
Yeah?
Yeah, even I go to 6 o'clock, try stop them, but it's not easy, I'm telling you. So even I told the police commander for North District to enforce, but hard to catch them, really.
Looking at what the fine is, I would assume that this particular, if it is one person, owes the city thousands and thousands of dollars if were to be given a fine. All right, so I will talk to your person. I just have another, you were talking about the bicycles today. What about the people who are riding bicycles on the sidewalk? Journal Square, every day from the PATH station, they just come out on their bicycles, come down what we used to call the concourse, take a left at the boulevard, go to the lights, ride their bicycles across with the passengers, hop onto Bergen Avenue or hop onto the boulevard. I don't know how many times I've walked down the Kennedy Boulevard and there's, a bicycle comes or a scooter or some kind of electrical conveyance comes. And I thought, oh my God, if I had just a second turned to go into a store, I would have been hit. But it seems to be a very common problem. Have you heard this?
Yes. It's a citywide problem now. So when we bring up the issue, you know what they say? Because of that, they have no safety bike line, so they no choice to their own safety. They want to use a sidewalk to ride on bicycle.
This actually is part of what came out of the Vision Zero task force, and one of the reasons why the city is contemplating protected bike lanes. So cyclists will have a safe place to bike, and pedestrians will be able to walk safely on the sidewalk. Currently, by ordinance, bicycles are not allowed on the sidewalk.
Well, they've never been allowed on a sidewalk.
Never.
Correct.
Okay.
It's an enforcement issue.
Yeah, it's an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Actually, since I came up, council members, can I just share something with you all? I'll be very quick. So I met with Lime, the e-scooter, electronic scooter, and I'm sure most of you have already met with them as well. And in Hoboken, apparently, they charge a 15 cents per ride charge that is dedicated to enforcement, a fund for providing for enforcement officers and so forth. I think it's a marvelous idea if we were to do scooters, but you could even look at like a city bike or anything like that and see about doing something like that to ensure that we have enforcement of that as well as motorists. So, okay, thanks.
All right, Jason Berg.
Jason Berg here. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you guys. The real problem with the bikes has been a long time. When it was brought up to this council many years ago, the police said, oh, we don't have enough men to enforce that. And all bikes are vehicles under the codes and statutes of the state of New Jersey. Now, my issue here, I have a house on Neptune Avenue near Seaview. They're putting up a 6-story building, which has 35 units, only 17 parking units, and the tallest building in my area is 4 stories. Now, the real thing that needs to be done is complementing the community, not trying to be New York City skyscrapers. And we also have one on Kennedy Boulevard, which is looks like a World War II bunker building. And we're doing a lot of buildings with these concretes. But again, they exceed the heights of the community. They should blend in. Now, another issue is again, we do need projects, but first, please, let's occupy the vacant buildings that have been taken by the banks through foreclosures, and that's important. Another issue is the Ocean Avenue and Bayview Avenue, which was cut last year, was cut short because of reconsideration. There's this 8-foot fence that's going around that property on Ocean and Bayview. Is the city doing a project with that, or just want to hold people out? It's a question of inquiry. The next thing is my issue is, everyone calls on God, and God does serve us. And he delivers us from despair and injuries, and we all have a purpose in life. The beautiful thing about life is that we have to address our poverty. In the Freedom Budget, it was developed by King and Philip of his institute, had it in '65. It was never done. It was 53 pages to make poverty outlawed by emancipation of poverty, like emancipation of slavery. So anyway, I call on God, and God I asked God, let me be an emissary for Mother Earth and I've been taking care of second place for the last 50 years, cutting the grass. I can outbeat anyone in the DPW as a one-man workforce. I've been doing for 50 years. And it's a shame when properties are claimed to be overrun, they are destroyers. So anyway, before I lose my time, to prove that Mother Earth, God, the Great Spirit, always delivers, well, here is a delivery of a rock. I'm a rock hound. This is in the shape of New Jersey. It was found on Route 280 West. I have over 462 of these rocks from this size down to about this size. And the thing is that when you add up the 22 counties, you have 21 counties and one for the state. All right? So that's a lot of numbers. I found even more. I can find them outside the state of New Jersey. But this stone is a proof that God is listening to me. And people need to listen. We need to get back to our real roots. Materialism doesn't save you. A good job doesn't make you better. But your purpose is serving your respective creed and goodwill to all men, whether it be Jew, Christian, Muslim, Hindu. There is a good foundation. We have to be in peace. It's not what your religion is who makes you a better man. It's what you do for your fellow human. We are not here to be in our possessions. We're not here to support the imperial capitalism, consumerism, which is total waste. Status quo is empty. And when you really look at it, have you served your year well? Are you better off than you were last year? Are you a better person for what you believe in? Do you smile at your neighbor? Do you give someone a laugh? Remember, when you live in fear and cringe for safety, you'll always get none. But when you laugh, the devil is done. Thank you very much.
Good night, Jason.
Thank you.
Jason, in regards to the building that you were talking about, Barbara will give you a flyer for the community meeting on that building, but nothing has been passed on that building yet. What you're saying is true, that there are a lot of bike spots, but there are that many bike spots because that's the plan that the community put together for the South Greenville neighborhood redevelopment plan that was put together years ago. That's what the plan calls for, so that's why they're asking for those spots, but they don't necessarily want those spots. So we'll discuss all that at the meeting, and if you can attend, you should attend.
I don't know what you're referring.
Thank you.
No, she's asking a question.
No. We have a young lady who's been waiting all evening.
You know what really gets me? When you want to let the person speak, you let him speak.
Thank you.
And I'm trying to get a clear.
Good night, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Good night. Please get on your meds. Julia Castelluzzo.
Okay.
Robert.
Want to do a cage match? I'm open for.
Can you hear me okay? Yes.
We can hear you fine. That could be bent right to your mouth. And
My name is Julie Castelluzzo, and I have lived in Jersey City for 12 years. I'm a transplant from New York. Currently, I live in Ward C, Journal Square. This is
Julie, bend that more towards your mouth because you're talking that way. Thank you.
This is my first city council meeting. I know I only have a few minutes, so please excuse me for reading my remarks. I'll help you, okay? All right. I'm going to come a little closer. I am a homeowner and a taxpayer, and I'm actually the primary breadwinner in my family. I'm here to alert you to a pressing need in Jersey City. This is the need for wheelchair accessible vehicles on demand. It is currently not possible to call a taxi in Jersey City that can accommodate a wheelchair. I tried yesterday just to verify. 7 different taxi companies in Jersey City, not one of them has a wheelchair accessible taxi. Although I am dependent on a wheelchair, I work full-time in Manhattan. I commute on the PATH train and the subway. And I've worked in Manhattan for over 20 years. I'm a lot older probably than you think I am. In New York City, you can use an app on your phone to request a wheelchair taxi to come to you, and it will usually arrive within 10 minutes. I recently heard about the new on-demand program with VIA, only within the last week. And I know this is going to be rolled out in January.
Yeah.
I read that there will be 14 vehicles initially. VIA also provides wheelchair accessible vehicles in New York City, so they know how to do this. I verified it myself by downloading the app and trying it myself, and sure enough, they were going to send me one. I canceled it. With the upcoming service here from VIA, this is a great opportunity to fill the gap of what we do not have. I implore you to make sure that VIA provides wheelchair accessible vehicles in Jersey City. For me, it is sadly ironic that one of the slogans used by the government in Jersey City is "on the move." Don't leave people like me behind. I'll end with a question. I only have a little bit left. Of the 14 vehicles that are planned, do you know how many of these will be wheelchair accessible?
They say 15 and the 2.
2 out of the 15.
Right. That is the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Based on demand of that wheelchair accessible vehicle, probably we're gonna recommend the mayors to increase, the wheelchair accessible vehicle. There's no question about it.
I mean, I know this is not New York City. I know you don't have a taxi and limousine commission, but what they're doing in New York City is wonderful. That I can call a wheelchair cab whenever I need it.
We're gonna make you the proud of Jersey City.
All right.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Julie. Is Sabrina Harold here? Sabrina Harold? Ron Simoncini. Start the clock.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Thank you, Council. A couple things related to the rent control hearing that we had last week and to preview the one for this week. First, there was news this week that I think maybe the council might want to prepare a little bit. The Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both said that they were going to cease providing funding in communities where there was severe rent control for mortgages. That's a very chilling effect. And certainly it's something that Jersey City has to take note of because almost everyone in Jersey City who owns income property has a mortgage against that property. When that comes up for refinancing, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, which are the two primary lenders for multifamily housing, will not be in the marketplace. Not that I think Donald Trump will be president forever, and we know that this is sort of an administration that's attempting to do more private sector kind of motivation. But when Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae leave a marketplace, the other lenders leave too, because that's a marketplace that now has been deemed higher risk than they want to take. And the bank stress tests are measured against the lending that happens through public entities. And so It's a very meaningful moment. I mean, as you know, I've said a few times, I've been opposing rent control for over 30 years. It's never been like this. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac never distinguished between rent control income properties and non-rent control income properties. And now they have a stated policy that says, we will no longer lend to this stuff. That's going to be significant. And as you consider changes to your rent control ordinance, the more harsh you make that rent control ordinance and the more properties that apply under it, the fewer lenders will be available to lend to that. So this really wasn't my issue, and I know you didn't come up for a vote tonight, but this redevelopment property issue that you mentioned, it's deeper than you think. This issue of lending will come up not just for the properties that will be refinanced, but for the new properties that you're going to allow to be built in your redevelopment areas. Those properties need financing. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mac will not be there to finance those properties. Now, most of them don't get financed by those entities because it's private lenders who come in for that. But now the private lenders have to have their stress tests measured against the standards of other lenders. And if another lender removes himself from the market, those loans are deemed riskier than they were before. So this is actually a meaningful moment that hasn't come up yet, that didn't come up at our last meeting, and that probably will be something that affects rent control properties here in Jersey City in the future. The other thing is, and I apologize for coming at the wrong time when I last mentioned this, but there's an intermingling of definition between affordable housing and rent control housing. At the hearing we had last week, I think there was a general acknowledgement from the council members that were there, and certainly the presentation from the waterfront project was that rent control is not affordable housing. But when you talk about the set-aside housing you're doing in your redevelopment areas and your other developments that you're providing bulk standards to, you are providing those people with affordable housing with a capital A. That's housing whose pricing is determined solely based on the income of the resident. You're dictating to your developers, if there are residents who make between 60 and 80% or 60 and 100% of the county median income, there should be housing available to them in your new development. They then price the housing. The housing is then priced based on the incomes of those families, and you have a lottery system or an application system that delivers the units into the market. Rent control housing is completely different. Even in a building that's 100% residential, even if you put 20% of that aside as affordable housing, and the other 80% is rent control housing, there's no intermingling between the two. You are not providing 100% rent control. You're still only providing 80% rent control because the other 20% is not rent controlled. It doesn't go by the same standards. It doesn't say it can only be increased 1% per year or to the CPI standard like your rent control property does. It says those rents can be increased based on the increases in the incomes of the families that are there. And whether that income comes from Social Security, whether it comes from pension, no matter where it comes from, that income gets reported every year, and the rents can be reset based on that income. That's completely untrue of rent control. In rent control, it's completely blind to your income. That rent is set based on consumer protection standards, not based on income standards. So even though we use these shortcuts and say, oh, that's affordable housing because it's rent control, or because it's rent control, it's affordable housing, it's not true. You have to be very precise in order to avoid mistakes. Thank you.
Gene Daly is our last speaker.
Hello, my name is Jean Daly. I would like to start off with something that Yvonne mentioned. I am a little upset about your remark, Mr. Robinson. I just felt it was unnecessary. I don't know if it was accurate, inaccurate.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Gene,
Oh, to you guys, I'm sorry, forgive me.
Address it to the council as a whole, no individual.
Sorry, forgive me. I just found the remark made by a fellow council member, I found it unacceptable. This is not what we're about here. I'm embarrassed, and I really would hope that there would be some type of apology, formal apology. This is not what we're here for. We all work together, and just casting insults or aspersion at one, especially in this type of public forum that's going to be filmed, is unacceptable. I'm not quite sure if there is a law about it, but I think I remember reading something that you do not have to speak when you're having a vote. You're just supposed to vote. So maybe we can think about that. Secondly, I'm going to try to make this quick. I know, Mr. Solomon, you mentioned about Lenore doing that groundswell thing as an experiment. It's not actually an experiment. Their emergency flood walls that they put in place to protect themselves, they failed. So let's not, give them great accolades for this experiment. Their flood walls failed. And we should be doing something about protecting our city. We do have a comprehensive map that was done just in 2017, and yet we've made no action upon it. I'd also would like to speak to about the painted lines in the bike lanes. Once again, nothing should be happening until the council passes an ordinance. This is once again putting the procedure completely out of whack. The city cannot do anything or appropriate any funds to change anything until the council passes it. And what bothers me is that no one cares about procedure, and that really bothers me to the end. Also, to correct about the rights on red, et cetera, we as a city pass the ordinance, we then have to submit it to the state for approval. Mr. Byrne mentioned it kind of as a simultaneous thing. It was actually suggested to me by a different police officer, if you get a ticket for like going through a stop sign, go check the state. If it was never approved by the state, you can be scot-free. Just show that into the court, you're done. I would also concerned about with the VIA app. I hope it, for this woman who was here earlier, I do hope it's for all wards. If there are going to be handicap services, they should be for all wards, not just in the rollout ones. And I also hope that we don't have any, because VIA is a private company, we have no way to get documentation from them through Open Public Meetings, Open Public Records Act, that this does cause me some concern, especially if there are any payments that are coming, or quid pro, you know what it is, pro quo. I'm very concerned about that, and if any of the city council people or people who work for the city decide to invest privately in that company, and then we all know it's going to be rolling out for stock offering, and then they're going to just make lots of money. That does trouble me because it is a private company. I'd also like to speak about the Exchange Place Alliance, the open publics meetings. Ms. Waterman was there on Tuesday. Again, according to the ACLU, according to the attorneys, according to Mr. Bogiano and others, this meeting, the Exchange Place Alliance, is subject to the Open Publics Meetings Act. Wherefore, a member of the public can go there, record it via audio or visual, so that they can translate that to persons who were not there. For the how manyth time, Ms. Waterman can tell you, Mr. DeMarco has refused to let myself and others video or audio tape this. I've asked Ms. Waterman to possibly demand that the Exchange Place Alliance have its meetings elsewhere, and right now there doesn't seem to be any sort of recourse, and I am asking the City Council to ensure that you move the Exchange Place Alliance meetings and their own office out of McCallie. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, we can probably get our business done very quickly. We've concluded the speakers list. Let's allude to petitions and communications. Item 6A, all the way to 649. Officers' communications. We have 7-1.
Okay, pause.
Me. We have reports of directors 8.1 through 7. We're to the claims and addendum number 1. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Zeri.
Aye.
Fagiano.
Aye.
Yun.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Stepped away.
Okay, okey dokey.
Councilperson Rivera,
Step away to
Okay, let's get these guys back here.
Waterman, Guevara.
Was there only the one handout? Or were there more than one?
You have the claims and addendum number 1, sir.
Is there only the one? Because I only have one, that's why I'm asking.
You received one this evening.
I received the one this evening,
That's it, I believe.
That's it.
and then nothing else prior to that.
You have two received.
Peace on them.
I'm going to, the one we're voting on right now is the one you gave us on our desks here today, right now?
Claims.
I'm,
Gonna miss the next guy.
I don't know what I'm voting on. I'm going to vote, I'm going to abstain.
Number 1.
I know, I don't even know which document that is right now, because I don't even have the other document. I'm going to abstain.
Okay, you'll,
I know,
On all.
Michael,
okay.
believe me.
Why isn't the
Councilman
claims and
Robinson?
addendums, let me just ask, why isn't the claims and addendums inside the electronic document?
The addendum is not,
Or whichever, I don't know what the term is, but
the,
why don't we have them in the electronic document? Why are we getting like piecemeal, some paper and,
because I received this late this afternoon from Accounts and Control. These are last minute.
No, but I'm looking through my agenda and I don't see the first iteration or the, okay, I don't need to debate this now, we'll let everybody go home, but I'm just,
You should have had a hard copy in your packet of the original.
no, but we're trying to work from this electronic document.
Oh,
so
it's a hybrid right now, Councilman. We're working as hard as we can to make it fluid. This is a bump, but you did receive a hard copy of the claims.
Okay, I'm abstaining. I haven't seen them. I'm abstaining. I haven't just received them.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed them.
Okay, Councilperson Robinson?
Claims and addendums?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the computer copy. Aye.
Oh, I see them here now. Jeez.
Huh? You see him?
Councilperson Rivera?
Aye.
Okay. So we have 801 vote, abstention by the council president. Council members, let's try something daring. Vote on all resolutions 10, 1 through 21, accepting 14, which was withdrawn in one vote. 14 is deleted, I should say. And 21 is the resolution you were provided, the Newport agreement for the artist tour this weekend.
Can I ask 2 questions before we begin?
Feel free, Councilman.
Sure, thank you. On 10.3, I know we got the rent registrations, so I just wanted to be sure that we have the rent registrations for all of the units, is that accurate?
We did get, I didn't have a chance to review that either. There's just too much stuff on this.
Okay. And then on, sorry? Right, and then on 10.4, I believe Councilman Yoon had asked the DPW to explain why they were asking for 110,000 as opposed to a fourth, and I don't recall them answering that question, but I could be wrong and missed it. So should we just withdraw 10.4 until we get the answer to that question?
So tell us, because now my recommendation is that 10.4, the contract, actually, you ask city council approve them more than what, approve at the budget, so my very friendly recommendation is that withdraw 10.4, can't you?
Withdraw.
Yeah. This is you, it's just withdraw and bring up the next council meeting, all right?
Daniel, work it back up, I guess.
Are you okay?
Okay, it's withdrawn.
Yeah.
So 4 is withdrawn, 14 deleted.
Which one is deleted?
14.
14,
yeah.
deleted that with the ordinance earlier.
Yeah.
So the balance of resolutions, Councilperson Ridley.
Abstain on 1015, aye on all the rest.
Prinzary.
Just one comment for 1016.
You want the mic?
Thank you. I've reached out to the business administrator, Brian Platt, as he's been working with VIA to find out the number of handicap accessible vehicles, what we can do to increase that, as well as look into the accessibility across the city and not just in the 4 zones.
10:15.
Starting, and with that, I vote aye on all.
Bargiano. Yun.
I vote for aye, and especially 1013, we bring up our own, transportation is a great things, but I just concern is that somehow city council was admission side, we have to set up the plan to control that total cost of in the future, right? Other than that, I'm all favor. Aye.
Solomon.
I'm going to abstain on 10-3 and then vote aye on all the rest. And then just briefly, the VIA option is a fascinating one and could be a great advance for the city. I do want us to really monitor what it actually looks like on the streets, because it may be different than what we expect, and it may have either extremely positive or extremely negative implications. So I'm just going to be very attuned to that as it moves forward. And then just on 1017, want to thank Steve Miller for everything he did for the city. I know we had a moment of silence earlier, but he had a wealth of knowledge, and was very appreciative of what he did. So with that, I'll vote abstain on 10-3, aye on all the rest.
Councilperson Robinson.
Yes, just want to say Steve Miller will be missed by all of us up here, especially the city and DPW. So, and aye on all the rest.
Rivera.
I vote aye, and on 14, I don't know if you guys, a lot of people don't know Steve Miller was a high school teacher. He was actually my high school English teacher for 7 months before he came into DPW, or while he was working in DPW. And he's never changed. He's still remained the same. Definitely vote aye on everything.
Waterman.
My condolences to Steve Miller's family, and I vote aye.
Council President.
I'm going to vote, I'm going to abstain on 3 as well.
I'm sorry, you're going to abstain?
Abstain on 3.
Thank you, sir.
On 1011, one more congratulations to Ms. Priscilla Gardner, and thank you for your 50 years of service to the city of Jersey City and to all of our readers in Jersey City's libraries and throughout Jersey City. I will echo on 10.17, condolences to Stephen Miller's sister and to all the loved ones, and you'll be missed, Stephen Miller. Thank you for your service to Jersey City. You were a dedicated employee. And then lastly, on 10.16, on the VIA service, I'll go with the Councilperson Prinzari with regard to ensuring that getting an answer with regard to handicap accessibility. And I didn't get to tell the woman that we do also have another service, which we mentioned at the caucus meeting, the Transcend service that provides senior and people with disabilities as well, free shuttle service throughout Hudson County. I'll be very brief. I'll just say, so the couple of things. Keep the KPI and marketing plan, important that we get that back to the City Council and make sure that have an opportunity to have input on that and see that those are in accordance with what we'd like to see as key performance indicators and the marketing plan itself. I'll express my concerns again about cannibalization of kind of New Jersey Transit, private lines, and jitneys, although New Jersey Transit has not been able to address the needs. And ridership on the 119 has increased dramatically by over 150%, I believe. And then the other line, 123, I believe by over 50% over the past 5 years. So we see dramatic increase, and so there's an opportunity here, you can see, with doing that. But when we talk about transit for equity and bringing about that, I'm have a healthy dose of skepticism about that as to whether or not we'll get to those transit deserts and be able to provide the transit via this service. I'm hopeful. I do think it'll be still wildly successful, particularly on those routes that are overstressed already, 119 and 123. And so I am concerned about the long-term implication for the city with regard to the subsidy here that we're doing, $1.9 million a year for 2 years for this pilot, and then how much that'll escalate over time as this service grows. So that being said, I think we probably could have done a lot more research into this, but I do think there is an opportunity. With all of that being said, despite my skepticism, I'll give it an effort and work with the city and the administration to see that we begin to provide these kind of services to those transit deserts in Jersey City, and I'll vote aye on all the rest.
You're abstaining on 3 and aye on the rest, correct?
Correct.
Okay, 10.3 is a 702. Wait, please. We're so close. 702. 1015 is an 801. The abstentions on Z3 were Solomon and Lavaro. Abstention on 15 by Councilperson Ridley to adjourn at 10:12. Motion by Solomon. All right, you're going to get the second, Prinzeri. By acclamation at 10:12. Good night, everyone.
Were 10.3 and 10.6 withdrawn?
Excuse me?
Are 10.3 and 10.6 withdrawn, or are they on the agenda?
10:3? No.
You have withdrawn written on these, that's why.
Wait.
Hold on.